The April board meeting to order.
Welcome home.
I know.
The children are there.
Sorry.
Not even just the children. Huh?
Those children.
Yeah.
Those children. I wasn't
I
talking
was
about
laughing
that.
at her mom.
Our mission is to provide a supportive and safe learning environment where all students are encouraged and empowered to reach their educational and personal potential. Okay, stand for lunch.
Okay, I can't text you that. Hold on.
That's okay.
At home.
I'm gonna give you a pass.
Okay, no, thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now you can go back. Okay, and everyone has reviewed the agenda, there's no changes?
There is a addition on personnel resignation of Michelle Moore.
Okay.
Okay, so taking off of 7.2.
7, yeah.
7 point.
Well, take her off
Yeah,
7.2 and
and
put her
I'm 7
into
Did we already
7,
do that
like
one
a
though?
7.4. No,
Do this.
we didn't,
Talk about
we didn't have a,
the whole letter.
yeah.
What? Okay, do we have to approve that right now? We can do it later.
We can do it later.
Do it next time.
Oh,
Her thing? Or,
yeah, we'll do it.
It'll be at like
7.3.
7.3 or 4. We'll
Okay.
just add a,
point
At
5, point
7.3.
50
yeah.
and a half. Okay.
We do, so my guess is they think it's at 6 instead of 5:30, but
Who's that?
Courtney and Dave are gonna come talk food stuff for a second, so I'll weave that into the reports, but we may, like, if it makes sense to keep going and then loop right back to that when they get here.
That's
we'll
fine, yeah.
Do that.
Okay, and no public comment?
No.
Okay. All right, then you're up, Sue.
Okay, so today is Administrative Professionals Day. I just wanna shout out, Carly, Jamie, Jaren celebrated today. Every day should be, actually, most days are recognition of, like, somebody is like, man, they help keep it together and make the district run, but extra special shout out today, so.
Definitely.
Good job, Jaren. Yeah, we
Thanks,
appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're a
We
real
do,
one, Jaren.
we do appreciate you.
Yes, we
Couldn't do it
appreciate you,
without
Darren. You actually helped me out today, so.
So this one time.
Actually helped me out.
Alright, and then, most exciting news to report on, we had our closing meeting for accreditation, and, we passed. We will be accredited. They're sending the report, it's not an IQ score, but it has those letters in it. But out of 400, they used different ratings and said we scored well, but they can't give us the number on the call, so they finish the report and send it our way. And we're officially accredited, so stay tuned. They confer it in June, and so like it becomes real going into next school year, but the process is.
Is it like, okay, a good idea, like, especially if anyone is listening, to see what that really means?
So for the high school, so it is a high school process. We look at 712 because it's the whole school, but an accredited school, it's an international organization that does accreditation, so schools all over the nation and world now, if like a transcript or diploma comes from us, it has that value that it's been through an accredited process. So we have not been for, I think they said over, it was like 8 years or 10 years, I can't remember exactly how many years, but we have been, we just fell off the process, and so picking that back up, and it's a 6-year accreditation with kind of, they embed a continuous improvement process within it, so we'll do check-ins at, I think it's like mid-cycle at 3 years or something like that, and kind of keep, the goal is that in 6 years it's not a giant lift, it's we've been collecting this and revisiting it the whole way, and here's our package, do it again.
Do charters do that as well?
Yeah, and I did ask the question, if we were a charter, is there any, like, do we need to revisit it or do anything? They're like, no, send us an email with the name change kind of thing, like, our neighbors, Bletchley and Triangle Lake are going through it right now. Actually, I think they finished the week before us, so, or 2 weeks, so, yeah,
Okay.
same process. Yep.
So why did we fall off of it?
I wasn't here, no clue.
Just an overlook. It's an overlook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement in Oregon, and probably with, like, it's not super expensive, but it's probably one of those things, and I think just there was less in Lane County for sure, and then people have been picking that up, especially there's a lot of correlation to the integrated plan, and so moving those together makes a lot of sense, so we've been doing that.
Yeah, I think that's great to be.
That's so great.
Yeah. And thanks, I know that like Kay did a bunch of that, right?
Yeah, Kay, so I'm gonna shout out Kay on the next one too, but Kay helped lead that process, and it is not an easy lift. There's a ton of documentation that gets submitted. We also hosted a visit, which the lady Lynn was like, she likes being able to go to the school that year and then get all that, because you have more context, so, but she loved her visit, she loved the school, but Kay definitely helped make that happen. Related-ish to Kay, Europe, there was the annual gathering I think it was last weekend, I might be a week off on my times, but came back with a bunch of awards, but the two that I just wanted to show, transformative team, and I'm just gonna pass this data around. I'm happy to share it with anybody not in the meeting that hears this and wants to see it, call me, we'll send it to you. But just a lot of data about college and career going compared to state and our growth over the last couple of years. And so we got the Transformative Team Award and Student Success Surge that both tie to that data.
They're big on alliteration.
Yeah, so it was, came back with awards and it was like, we're doing the stuff, so.
Do you have that online, this data?
We will, so this, she's sending me a PDF of this, she had the hard copy with her, and then we'll get that loaded up. Yeah, great question.
Okay.
Very
representative, not very representative. Take it with a grain of salt. That's the metric. That's funny.
A couple of events just to shout out. Earth Day yesterday, collaboration between both campuses, and so 3 main events. The trash pickup up and down over to the food share area. I came back with a truck full of trash picked up to beautify the community. I wrote off the side of the page. Garden beds. The one group made 5 new garden beds and planted some flowers in there. Those are intended to stay up at the 5th and 6th grade area to have planter boxes for that group. And then 3rd and 4th grade worked with the culinary PBL, and they've been doing some tribal shared history connections embedded in their units, and this was connections to native plants, and Ramil helped teach that, and then Rochelle came in from the Native Youth Wellness Program, and they made cornbread with local ingredients, and worked through that. So kind of 3 different layers that happened yesterday afternoon. I just want to shout out the 100th day celebration. I'm realizing now I didn't turn that on, so I'm not going to spend time doing it, but I have pictures of little kids celebrating the 100th day and doing a number of activities. They're adorable, so I'll make sure you see them, and those we're working to get posted onto that slideshow on the website. But also, just to follow up, Yvette and Kelsey in that role in 1st and 2nd grade are killing it. They are so good. So yeah, it's been really exciting, and they're doing a lot of movement-based engagement that's really meeting the needs of the students, and it's awesome. So
What's 100 day?
the 100th day, the 100th day of the school year. So
Oh.
like, it's usually like you do activities with, especially with kinder first grade counting to 100 groups of 10, those
Okay.
kind of things, and they have some, anyway, what I'll show you is red solo cups, 100 of them built up, and some of them are in pyramids, and some of them are in different designs, and the kids are cozy next to them, and it's adorable. So, connected to that literacy, that conversation, I did share out and I'll forward that to you guys. I shared it out to the staff, the K2 staff today. A number of, so I went through a lot of phone calls and connections and what do we do, sent out. So the decision-wise, it doesn't make sense for a number of reasons that I can share or just forwarded to shift to the older curriculum. One, we're out of compliance if we go to an old curriculum, and with early literacy funding, that we actually can't do that. Also, at this time, it doesn't make sense to invest in a new curriculum when the adoption will be in 2027, which seems, it's both far away and not that far away. And so I shared in there like all the different conversations that I've had connected to the curriculum and why, not a huge difference in that shift, enough to invest. But we did identify some new resources for supporting their success at the K2 level. So we will, I still have, so I have a couple meetings where I've met with the people and said, okay, now can you meet with the team and they can decide if that's a support they want. And then I'm meeting with the EL literacy coaches to talk about ongoing support at the, like in-person support for them and exploring that. So I feel like we're in a good spot. Yvette and I had a chance to meet like face-to-face and go through everything. And then I sent the rest through email just to make sure everybody had the same information, and then we'll continue to follow up with people. So, it's grant season. There's just fun stuff we're putting in for grants. Certain grants we have are coming together. We're doing the ordering, so lots of movement on kitchen and garden-related initiatives, and we hired our new food systems coordinator people, and that team is taking off and cool things are happening.
Who's that person? The food coordinator?
So we hired 2 halftime people, Dave Strom and Kamari.
Oh, right.
Are working with
Yep.
Courtney and then connected to Crystal, and it's like just having the capacity for all those things to move. It's been so fun to see, like, we're not just talking about, oh, we should do that. This morning I walked in and was like, hey, there's this thing and da-da-da-da-da-da, and we have this money, we can look this up and spend that. And I ran into Dave in the hallway later that day. He wasn't there, I was talking to Courtney, and he's like, hey, we had a great meeting just now, this are done, and I was like, oh, it was great. So, and he brings a huge experience with garden education, and so really looking at up at the elementary area, being a like an education garden, and then everything else we're doing being production, and so there's the vision, like it's so cool. So facilities connected, trying to. Yeah, I'll do the, well, let me come back to that in a second. I said that, yeah, no, just kidding, that's what I want to jump to. So facilities, I met with Kurt last night, and we should have the kitchen ready to go to bid by noon on Monday, and drawings were, I don't know, felt like 80% complete when we met. Couple things he was clarifying and waiting. He had just got the final notes for the from whoever provides notes, and we're in a hurry to go to bid because the grant money that we have to pay for that project has to go through procurement on the state end, and so we're trying to get that out the door fast so that it doesn't get lost in that process. So I think we're making good time. Like, everybody always thinks we should be a month earlier, but I think they say that so that we we got to where we are, and it's been moving, it's been doing really well. The building is abated, has everybody been in it?
I have. I
Yeah.
walked through it last.
And there's pictures online today
I did see
of
pictures
Watershed Council's doing some upgrades in that area, and
Fundraiser.
yeah, there's.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun because like things are moving, and we'll talk flooring in a little bit here, but that's the piece that once that's finished, all these everything else is a mini project in correlation to that. Every single other project needed that first, so it feels good to have it moving. If anybody needs details from Kurt, feel free to ask questions, but I don't think I need to say any more than that right now. And yeah, I'm good there. I think that's all my. Yep.
Finance tech maintenance reports.
Working on the budget, and they're balancing the last school year's state school fund. Looks like we should get some additional money, mainly because of transportation for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Got a couple things in the action items for bids and stuff that relate to everything, so we'll talk about them when we get there. And personnel, we'll talk about that when we get there. So,
I'll throw one finance thing out. Summer school funding went through the legislature. We're still waiting for like what that means for us. It's really late in the game. We are working with the Watershed Council. Like this morning we got to do a follow-up, and then I just need to send the email over, but looking at supporting buses and food, and maybe a position for the camp at the end of June. And then there's a literacy program that's intensive for K-3 level that a community organization has had a lot of success and is looking to expand, and Crow and I are working to put that in place at the end of summer. So right now that's the summer things we're talking about. It's so late in the game that it's really hard to plan something meaningful that aligns to new rules, but as soon as we find out, we'll look and see if what makes sense for this summer, but we'll at least have those two. And then Deadwood Community Center is running their camps, and we've had connection and correlation there. So some summer stuff moving, and I haven't even read the summer school decisions yet, but my hope is that they approved it in a way that it's not going back every single year, and we can actually now plan forward for the following summer and be ahead of cycle. So
The consent agenda, has everyone went through it? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda.
I move that we approve items on the consent agenda, 6.1, 2, and 3.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Okay.
That was confusing, sorry, I thought you were seconding.
Yeah.
I thought you were calling.
Sorry.
And I'm looking at you like you do it.
No, I was just waiting for her to say all those in favor.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Got it.
Then seconded.
Yeah, I'm like, she seconded it.
She can't.
I know,
Yeah.
I was like, that was weird.
I did say it weird. Okay, action items.
Oh, my turn. The integrated plan, we presented on it last month. We sent that out to, through Parent Square with options for feedback. We received 0 comments for feedback, and still want to move that plan. So, yeah.
Yeah, I move that we adopt the integrated plan for 25-27. That said, it says here pause for public comment, and seeing no public, it seems like,
Yeah, and we had this and we made it, putting it on this one will let us only submit one document instead of 2 months of, it's just easier to have it all in one, but we've done a lot of public comment opportunity.
all
So,
right, cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it, thank you.
So anyone want a second?
Yes, I will second.
All those in favor?
Yep.
Okay. 7.2, the classified staff renewal.
Okay, so just taking Michelle off of that and, well,
We don't have anybody else that is,
Kent is retiring, but we don't have a letter from him yet, so he's still on there and
Okay.
no other.
So just taking her off, so this is renewing all the classified staff,
Yes.
other than Michelle's. Okay. Anyone?
Other than, can I ask,
Can you vote?
can I ask like who's not getting renewed?
Michelle.
She's retiring.
Retired.
Yeah, yeah,
Who's Michelle?
Bus driver,
Bus
yeah,
driver.
to Deadwood.
Deadwood Bus.
Oh, also, is it,
Michelle, you know, Michelle Moore, because, yeah, she also does school clock at the.
At the games,
basketball
yeah,
games,
does the
that-
clock at the
well,
games.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know, I know.
Yeah,
I was like, find the right context.
I know, I'm back.
Is there anyone else retired, or not getting renewed?
That's all we have on our list.
Okay, okay.
Anyone?
yeah, I move that we approve the renewal of the classified staff with the exception of Michelle.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Okay, little discussion first.
Yeah,
I just want to say Michelle's a freaking institution at this school. And it's really sad that she's not going to be here. I understand this is her choice and I honor that, but wow, I mean, she has driven up our creek for years and the kids, you know, could rely on her. She's been really very dependable and I think that's a hard position to fill because she's not just a bus driver or a clock runner. She's Michelle Moore,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Anyway.
I agree.
yep. I agree, I'm sad to see that because like, just thinking of all the, every day my kids rode that bus, you know, and like she was taking care of them that whole time. So it was
Absolutely.
pretty amazing effect on the community.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, do we still need the all in favor though, right? Okay. I wasn't excluding that conversation. I figured we'd have it as we.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was too.
Hey, was that retiring?
I was thinking the
One,
next one, yeah.
We had to have
Why don't we just do that right now?
Yeah, I think it makes
Do
sense.
it
Yeah.
7.2.5 before 7.3, to approve Michelle Moore's retirement.
The
We know
letter,
Michelle, or the other Michelle feels about that, so.
the letter's on the back of your packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. the
See
very
you, see you later.
Yeah,
All right.
all right.
Does anyone want to move to approve that? Because someone has
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Yes, Michelle, I move that we approve, accept Michelle Moore's retirement.
Second.
All those in favor?
And thank you,
Yes,
Michelle.
thank you, Michelle.
Michelle.
Like, a lot, yeah.
And 7.3, the personnel hiring.
Yeah, so coaching positions, high school football, Jack Devereaux, trying to prop up that program and get a team for next year, and we're excited about, Jack comes with a lot of experience and is coming to us from Mackenzie, moving across the county, so, and then, new,
Volleyball coach.
yeah, what did we do that high school? I just.
Then we did that last time.
Did we do it last time? Okay, got it. So that's
Right.
right, last time we did high school volleyball,
Yeah.
this is for middle school volleyball head
Oh,
coach.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Danelle Sundstrom is going to lead our middle school volleyball program.
Or did we?
And
Yeah, I don't know that we
Maybe
did.
we didn't, I'm looking back at the notes, and
Oh.
actually,
Did we do Carly on
Carly.
this one?
your high school volleyball
Did we?
DeWall.
Oh, no, but she's an employee, so. it
We
doesn't
can do
have
this,
all
but let's,
the all that it needs.
yeah, it's for a position, yeah, may or may not need a board approval, but let's add it into there just to say, so let me, that's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah, it's not on.
Let me at least acknowledge, so Carly Duvall will be leading our high school volleyball program, and Danelle will be doing middle school. And then for football, Jack will be doing the high school program, and Thomas Boggs is going to lead our middle school football program. So excited about, lots of folks who have been volunteering with us in lots of ways that you're seeing here, and agreeing to step in and lead a program. So we're excited. Yeah. So
Awesome.
and well, can we vote on that, and then can I add one thing on personnel, just an update that I
Sure,
get?
sure. Anyone want
So are we adding in, no, we aren't adding in,
I think you have to.
Haley
Yeah,
and
just
Carly,
ignore. No,
or Carly.
No,
Not-
I mean, typically, because it's
'Cause
just a
they're already-
stipend
it's
position,
in-house.
they're already
Yes, they're already
employees,
in the
so these are
department.
mainly
Yeah.
just saying,
Okay.
hiring them as an employee.
Okay. So I move that we approve the hiring of all the listed people for the listed positions.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Know what you
there
had.
was a very silent vote.
Yeah.
but Yay. They all said
We're
yes.
getting efficient.
So just staffing at the elementary level, we're on Monday, we're gonna be like, all the positions that we're trying to fill, we keep kind of shifting and moving. It'll be in a sub capacity for the rest of the year, but long-term sub, and we're finally at fully staffedness for the early K2 supports for our kiddos with autism and stuff. So feeling really good about it. We have brought in a whole lot of people to shadow and try things out, and we're crush figures, we're there. And it feels good. So nobody's allowed to call out on Monday. That's the rule.
Well, it's Tuesday, we'll see on Tuesday, you know,
Yeah.
we'll-
At least give us a day.
Maybe have some snacks or food.
Yeah.
around.
No, I think, like,
Enticement.
And I think I can share, like, Jack is one of those people, so he's coming in as a coach, but he's also gonna come over and work in a sub EA role with us and join the community. So that's what made me think of adding it here, so.
And it's actually moving to this area?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Okay.
And related to personnel, we're gonna interview a few people on Monday for replacing to add in another bus/custodial. So whether Angie is doing that route, but we're hoping to have an additional person, so someone will take Michelle's route and we'll see.
Cool.
I see Courtney here waiting for someone else. or-
So is Dave gonna,
I thought he was, and I saw him right at the beginning, but,
We can still
yeah,
wait.
we'll keep going, and if it's not this one, we'll do it next one, like,
Okay.
and we'll keep moving that work, so.
Okay, so we have the 24-25 calendar and then next year's calendar. So we'll start with this year's, which I think we know the hiccup, right?
Yeah, so that's the.
Disgruntled upperclassmen.
They're,
What did you think?
yeah.
Did we all get one of those?
But it was in the thing, I just printed them at work.
Yeah, so,
I don't know if
He sent them in the,
Right.
The- and, yeah, so this year's is, the seniors' last day is misprinted by a week, so, they,
somehow we all missed that, or I don't know.
that's, I
Or it
have
got
no
printed
clue,
that way?
yeah, and they've kind of talked, I think they knew it wasn't real, but then they started questioning it the closer it got, and when it got to me, I was like, no, and they're like, well, it says it, and so I looked and I was like, we gotta fix that, so here we are, asking you to fix it so that they can't pretend they're
So
getting
that they
it.
could go to
missed that.
school another week?
Yeah,
So
so it'll go
originally,
through.
it had been on the 28th.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so
Right.
there's
And-
the calendar.
Oh, yeah.
So they
Right.
just needed to go through the Wednesday before
Right.
their
Which,
graduation,
like, is always the way
is-
it is,
Yes.
so like, I was.
But
yeah,
they
that's
thought they were getting some extra bonus time.
That's funny, I don't. I'm not sure that anyone in my household ever actually looked. 'Cause we just had this
I
thing-
heard
Oh,
about it.
but now they're very
Now they're
vocal about it.
Totally
So,
heard about it.
I told them,
Very sad.
well, the board meeting was supposed to be last week, and I was like, that's getting fixed tonight, shush. And like
And
somebody
it
was
didn't
talking in the
happen,
office,
yeah.
and then it went a week, and I was like, it's still getting fixed, shush.
Don't you know you guys are adults?
Yep.
And if you made that mistake,
Then
Yeah.
you have to
then that's
live
what
with
happens.
It turns out
We
we
make a
get
mistake.
we get to fix
Oh, yeah.
mistakes.
I heard all the things.
it. Oh my god.
So all those in favor of going to go to school next week?
Right, yep.
Anyway, someone wanna move to approve that?
So moved.
The second? And I'm not seconding, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you all.
And then next year's calendar.
Yeah, so the 25-26 calendar is there. It was shared, and then Jaren's projecting up there. We have had a lot of eyes on this. Our goal is to not come back with mistakes. So I think we've caught all of the things, but if you catch anything, please.
I have one
Yeah.
punctuation thing.
We say it again.
Punctuation?
Yeah, where?
Wednesdays shouldn't have a, right? Shouldn't have
Well,
an
this should be
apostrophe.
25, 26
We'll see.
right
There we go.
here.
This is, we get all these eyes, and then
Okay. What should be where?
I don't think
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays should have a
Wednesdays.
apostrophe.
No prints.
Oh.
There we go. Or that's whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Apostrophe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I think we got it. So there is one change from this that I'll talk about in a second. But the biggest thing to know, where's November? There we go. November, we sent out the community feedback, then processed with classified and certified staff in a meeting together, and then sent that out to their associations for approval. The kind of lots of good conversation in the meeting, and ultimately they leaned into the data and said, hey, 60% of respondents are saying, it was even high, over 60% of respondents are saying have school on that day, and a large percent of those are saying acknowledge it in a big way, and let's do what they're saying and do it that way. We kind of consensus voted in the room, overwhelming majority. There are, not everybody agrees fully, but there was an overwhelming majority in the room for that. So we went with having school on that day. And then the red PD dates are PD dates that we've actually worked to align with the small rural districts across the county, so that we can start to share some resources and collaborate in sharing of professional development on those Fridays. There's one more, so there's 4 there, plus in the in-service, we put 2 of the PD days into the in-service week. And the 26th will be off-site, as if anybody's from a big district, we called it convocation, but it's a like all the big schools that come together and do like the kickoff for the year. So we're gonna do that to kick off PD opportunities across those districts and do a celebration of kickoff of the year with the small rural districts on the 26th, and then 27th will be on site here. And then, so that means we have one more, so that's six red days on there, 6 PD days. In the contract, we need 7. And we threw around a bunch of ideas in that meeting. I finally said, okay, everybody's kind of either indifferent or split. And there were a couple ideas discussed. One was the idea of a flex PD day, where they get to identify a professional learning opportunity and kind of name their date. One was a soft start in January, where that January 5th is a PD date, that Monday coming back from break. And then, but that would require us to find a Friday to go to school, or a Friday to go to school. And then, or to just put another Friday on the calendar and have it be a PD date here. So that got sent out, processed by certified staff because it impacts them. And I talked to Clara earlier today, and they landed on just putting a PD date in September as a early in the year, get the rest of the things we need to do to kick off the year done. And so they gave approval for September 12th or September 19th. Probably should have just picked one of those.
So they'll be adding one to September.
Yeah, either September 12th or 19th. Do you have a preference? It's Admin Professionals Day, so Jaren gets to pick.
September 12th and 19th.
Yeah. I guess pick. We have one October 3rd. I think, let's go with the
Maybe the 12th,
12th,
just 'cause it's
yeah,
closer
give
to
a
the
little-
beginning of the year.
Yeah, and it's the second week of school. We've done that, we've had them that early in the past, and so there wasn't major feedback there. So September 12th.
There you go. On the 26th and 27th in August, what's the, like, if those are with all the rural schools and stuff, how different is that from how you have it, like how we've had it? Like, basically our teacher's like gonna be like, oh, I don't have time to prep, or
So,
whatever.
we did agree, if you go, the Thursday, so the Tuesday will be off campus. And one of the agreements we made is that there's 2 hours of guaranteed, like in the contract on a PD day, you get 2 hours guaranteed prep and plan time. We're gonna give Thursday for classroom time entirely. So for in-service, because this includes some travel that goes into this, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be like our typical in-service things with some classroom time, but Thursday will be entirely classroom time, and that was agreed upon in the meeting.
Where are you traveling to?
I think that is still to be named. Oh no, that's not true. The plan is, what's the name of the pavilion at the Lane Event Center?
Wheeler?
Yeah, Wheeler Pavilion. I'm not in charge of booking it, but that's the plan right now, so.
And it's the small schools in this county?
Yeah, so us, Blatchley, Crow, Marcola, and Mackenzie all are 4-day school weeks and have been working to align some resources, and there's quite a bit of support through the ESD that we have been utilizing as administrators in building that team, and it kind of led to like, hey, we think we can maximize some impact. And it's new, and it's an ask of teachers this year for these 4, or that date and then the 4 Fridays. And Clara was real honest and said, maximize that time and make it something meaningful to us and that we want. And the exact conversation with superintendents is, at the end of the year, we want to be able to say like, we don't know if we can keep doing this, and people to be like, you better. So that's what we're aiming for. And we meet right now monthly to plan this, and the ESD, in between the ESD's helping align resources and get that kind of laid out, and comes back with a proposal. And we're excited about that. Just to name, Andrea and I talked kind of in my evaluation about like that idea of like balance and like how you hold multiple roles at the same time. And one of these is, when we're planning the PD all the time, it's a big lift on our end to do it well. And it, like, if we lean into, and that's true for all of us who are superintendents and principals in small schools, and so kind of sharing that load, and when we sit and say, here's what our teachers are asking for, here's what the needs, and here's the needs, they're not wildly different. And so it's like, hold on, let's see how we can think about this differently. So.
Yeah, that came up during the integrated plan discussions.
Yep.
And so I was just wondering, how are you polling your staff?
Yeah.
Like Claire says, make sure it's what we want. Well,
Yeah.
how do you know what they want?
Yeah, so we're, so it's kind of twofold. I think so that there's more connection to this, but the, what is that called? Center for Educational Leadership or something. Anyway, we call it CEL. That's the work we've been doing as administrator teams this year. And then TNTP has been working with some of the districts on some learning walks, and the process has been really good of getting in, doing learning walks, finding that, and then bringing that back to some teams of, right, depending on where they're partnering. And so on the larger level, we're trying to get those processes in place that are good processes no matter what, and they build that ongoing input because we're doing those walks and hearing, like it's built into that process. Right now, I sent out a PD survey to all, following that meeting with the calendar and sharing kind of here's what we're looking at for PD. I sent out a PD survey for all staff, and we're bringing that to that next meeting for superintendents to get together on that. So there's that piece, and then a lot of, like, we meet and talk with people ongoing, like a lot of it's conversation, staff meetings, individual meetings, so it's not like it's brand new and we haven't heard any, of this stuff. I think some of the conversation, like, there's building professional capacity, and there's the time to collaborate and do the things we're working on. And I think sometimes there's feedback of like more time to do the stuff, but professional development isn't protected time to do the stuff, it's to build capacity of your professional staff, and we're balancing both of those things, right? And so we're not saying no, none of that or all of this, it's what's the balance in there and how do we lean into other resources to help create more capacity to do more of those things. So
When you say balance, like a balance between what you as a suit think they need to do, or and what the staff is telling you they want?
No, yeah, well, yeah, yes, and I don't know that's how I meant it when I said it the first time. So,
Okay.
I think a balance of, when I said it, I meant the time to do the implementation of the things we're working on and the professional capacity building is what I meant when I said it. But I think there's also a layer of what we as administrators see we get this view,
Yep.
classroom teachers have the on the ground view, and you're balancing those two things. So I think it's both.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
yeah.
And we said 19th and 20th for official registration? Or 18th?
Is that a Tuesday and a Wednesday?
Yeah,
Yeah, Tuesday,
Yes.
Wednesday, 19th.
Yep.
19th.
I mean, it says 18 through 20, you'll do it, but you guys are settling on 19, 20. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the calendar for next year.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Purchase approvals.
So there's some quotes back on the last page. What I got first, flooring quotes. So we've got doing subfloor and doing vinyl tile like is in the hallway kind of here, except they'll be 12 by 12 tiles, not 12 by 24. So have 3 bids, talked to a couple other places and they didn't turn bids in. So Rubenstein's is the low one, it's a little over 75,000 for it.
And that'll be all the floors we need in all the places.
Not the kitchen.
All except the kitchen, and the kitchen is with Kurt going to bid on Monday. It's a different type of material just for sanitary reasons. Yeah.
So we need to approve that flooring bid, right? Or the flooring quote, guys?
Yeah. Does anyone see any conflict? I mean, I don't know, because I work for the Watershed Council, are we rent space in that building? Like, is there any conflict there? Should I?
For you voting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
No.
think so.
I don't think so either. I don't see any
Yeah.
reason why to me it would matter there other than a school. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, like
Just-
the floor you really like better, and you're really gonna try to lobby for
I do,
that.
but it'd be like 300,000 better. Much better, but, but just as this like, I know, I mean, these are maybe higher bids, like, I don't know, how are we doing on budget, like, for that kind of work?
I wanted them to be lower,
Yeah.
and
Right.
I threw around the idea of me and a couple other guys going and, I mean, I've
Right.
done flooring before and stuff,
Right.
but it'd maybe save 10, 15,000 or so, but
Right.
decided I don't want to do it. so.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't want
Right.
to for saving
No,
that much, yeah.
and no, Randy and I, and Jaren talked about that this morning, and we're like,
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
didn't want that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Thanks
trying
for
to
trying
paint,
to,
you know,
but-
like, yeah, like we're trying to paint the office, just paint it, which is much less, and it's like hard to find either the time or the money or all that. So,
And that's a huge, like, there's a lot more flooring in there, like, at first you're like, yeah, I could do that, and then you start measuring, and it's
Right.
like, no, somebody
Right.
who does flooring should do that for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. So no, it was more, so like that makes total sense, like
And it's
I agree
probably
that-
cost of goods are
Yeah.
more than we want them to be,
Yeah.
because they are anymore.
But I'm just
so.
wondering like where, in terms of like our budget and capital, and like what we have budgeted for capital
For
improvements.
capital improvements, in the budget, I think I put in 200,000 for expenditures in capital, so
We're still,
we're still in,
right,
we're
okay.
still fine.
All right. Anyone want to move to approve that? Did we?
Sure.
Okay.
I move,
I don't know where we are
I
right
move we
now.
accept, so this is for the flooring bid, I move that we accept.
Or do we want to do all of them?
No,
I
let's
mean,
do
Okay,
I
okay.
mean,
one at a time.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So I move that we accept Rubenstein's bid, $75,000, $694.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay.
copier quotes, our copier contract is coming up, and it's through Pacific Office. I got quotes on a few different types of machines. I settled on a 55 page per minute one. Xerox is looking like the low option, so I would recommend. This is I talked with them, and these are all purchase. So the copy machine at the elementary and the high school, we have 2 copy machines. Right now, we lease them. Typically, we've done a 5-year lease, and I'm looking at a purchase option because it saves $1,000 or so by purchasing them, and we still pay the maintenance cost regardless, whether we are leasing them or if we purchase them outright. And if they last more than 5 years, then save more money. So that's, yeah, I'm recommending that we go with, that we give Xerox the contract, get their machines and give them, they said they have good, it sounds like they have good maintenance, usually a 4-hour response time, same day and stuff, which is what we've typically had with Civic Office, sounds like National. So, yeah, I mean, they all sound pretty similar, just different brands of machines, and Xerox is looking a lot cheaper.
Anyone?
Okay, then I move that we accept the bid for Xerox for the copy machines.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay. And pickup.
I am recommending that you give me, really this doesn't particularly have to go through you, but I figured I would anyways, gonna look for a pickup for the district so if we need a pickup to do something, then we have one instead of using Randy's. Randy figured it'd be helpful for like Nova doing maintenance stuff, hauling some things around. Right now she uses the tractor sometimes, and if we want to go and pick up dishwashers that we buy or anything else, or if we want some sheetrock to patch up the holes that are in the middle school, then we have a outfit that's kind of built for that. I'm going to look for something used. $6,000 to $8,000 is what I'm shooting for. It's not like it's going to be used tons and stuff, so I just want something that we can
Can
have
that even
around.
help, like, I know they, like, even the soil thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
so like right now, whoever dropped that soil brought something significantly bigger than we expected, and so they had a drop here, and we've been wheelbarrowing across for weeks.
Rather than being able to have drove it out there.
Yeah, and it's like, drop it here and go, yeah,
Okay.
so.
So when we do use a pickup, are you saying that like Randy uses his personal rig or something?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so hauling, we, hauled a load of stuff to the dump from the middle school, and so we used his, I used the Suburban a couple times, couple days hauling stuff out of the middle school and stuff, and so,
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone wanna move
So
on that?
moved, yeah, let's get one.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. All right, policy, second reads.
Anything new to know since our first read on those? 'Cause
Is there
otherwise-
anything that we?
Think so.
I modified the things that we talked about
Yeah,
in there.
okay.
So this is just an action item.
So we can just,
Okay.
Oh, I approve, I vote we approve, so all policies listed there, 7.7. I move.
I'll second.
okay, all those in favor? All right, moving on to the first reads.
I'll be so done.
I know, what, 2 more months?
Yes, 2 more months, we can do this.
First read.
That's what I was like, no, we're done for years.
Harassment, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
maybe 1 or 2.
Jibba.
Okay.
Jibba.
Okay, it's already started.
Yes.
Jared like practice in his
Jared could
office
be
today.
bad at his job all year, and on administrative professional day, we'll just
Just put up with
celebrate
it,
the sound
put up with it.
effects.
Okay, this is from the April update, so this is a
Very fresh.
couple of these ones are,
Yeah,
so.
makes it easier.
And it is, I think they shortened it up a bit from what I remember. There's no things in here to select from, this is,
Yeah, and
that's
this
it
is
right there.
definitely so law-based that I wouldn't wanna make mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, any questions on that one?
No.
And the AR that goes with it is quite a bit longer. Let's see if there's anything in here for selections.
You said we just did this one in 2024?
This was part of the April April
Like-
2024, like they send us ongoing updates,
Right.
so
Yeah, so-
it's not just like we're going through
Mhm.
and revisiting.
This is one
So
that we
highly-
had.
highly
They sent it to
recommended
us
April
recently and
24,
said this is
yeah.
how you do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Good, then I'm good with it.
All right.
So they added in, provide all employees assigned to work, so this is part of one of the new laws, you gotta give IEPs and 504 plans to anyone that's working with them, so that's
And we've
kind of additional.
made that
info.
shift and are doing it, which matters more than
So
policy.
added those items in there, it looks like, and we have complaints. Student, parent, or staff complaints of non-compliance will be reported to the superintendent or designee in process as provided in the board policy or in accordance with established district complaint procedures.
The second one, right, in accordance with the established district.
I mean, we've got board policy AC, so,
Okay.
and it has
That is our process.
complaint
right?
process, yeah.
Right, okay,
So-
so we get rid of the second part.
As provided. And that's, that. I've got, oh, I'm looking at this, the second reads here, okay, that's why I wasn't seeing those. Jibbin, sexual harassment, jibbin.
I thought we did this one earlier this year.
8/21/24, so
Yeah.
it was probably, yeah, we probably had it as an update, and it's probably just here because it was in the list
Yeah.
to review.
Yeah,
So,
and just to name, Title IX continues to shift, and we may revisit this one
yeah, when,
every 6 months, but anything connected to Title IX, but I think right now, I think this is the most recent. I think we did this one and it hasn't received more changes.
yeah, I don't know if it has anything
Yeah.
that need to change based on Title IX changes.
I haven't seen anything come through from OSBA yet on policy level changes, just, hey, no, they're coming and we're working on them, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully I haven't overlooked that, but,
Okay, good. Yeah, it looks like we did it in August.
yeah.
JE attendance. So, this one's just a review.
But this was part of that April.
Well, that was, no, this is just OSBA recommends reviewing it. Do I need to zoom
Right,
in
there's just a
on
little
that?
end here that says dash April on there, so I was thinking it was part of that.
Oh,
Oh, for, yeah, the JEs,
JEA.
yeah,
this is just
Oh,
JE.
JE,
Yeah,
sorry.
JE.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
the, you said this one, they just listed as
Yeah,
review.
just as a
Okay, so it's a
review one.
review.
Since
The,
it's from
The one thing I
2014.
would recommend, the number 3, placing the responsibility for attendance in the hands of students and their parents. I think there's a lot of responsibility with the school district as well, that we create a welcoming, safe environment that kids want to come to school. So the language of 3, I might ask us to revisit.
I like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
What would you like it to say? In the hands of the district, students, and their parents? Well, or,
You guys have to wordsmith that, probably.
Yeah,
Or are
And-
we just adding another bullet?
or another bullet.
Because like the welcoming environment, I feel is different than the responsibility of
For
the students and the
attendance, yeah.
parents. Because that's more like the responsibility of making sure your students get there, and then the district's responsibility of making sure they're welcome are separate things. So maybe adding a,
Yeah, I might even say 3 is communicate, like the goals of our attendance are to communicate the responsibility for attendance with students and families, right? Like, the intention is to, hey, you have a responsibility to come to school. And then we can add another line there that says, and we will provide a safe, welcoming, learning environment.
Yeah.
I can work with Jared on that
Yeah.
language, but
Okay.
yeah, I think, I like that approach. Cool.
Alright, so I'm writing on there Sue Wordsmith on it. So
Yep.
you can,
Sue wordsmith the welcome language or something, just so it jogs your memory when you get there. I'm like, what am I supposed to
Sue
do?
Wordsmith, district
Yeah.
responsive.
5, coping with life is weird, but
T.
any thoughts on that one? I mean, maybe that's, I thought it was gonna say like of being successful in post-secondary life
Yeah,
or
like I would
something,
just- yeah.
but coping with life, that might
I mean,
be,
it makes it understandable to the kids,
Right.
that's for sure.
Yes.
So the OSBA didn't give us any language.
not on this, it just lists that as a review.
I don't know, it sounds silly, but it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
just
is,
leave it.
it is a
Works
part
for me.
of, it is a part of,
I'm
And
not
all
about
those things, you're
suggestion.
coping with life by,
Yeah,
like
Being
in-
successful
it
in
at least
things.
dumps it down a little bit, and I like it.
Yeah, you gotta show up, you gotta show up to work, you gotta show up to your responsibilities, just go be the way. Alright,
Okay,
Compulsory attendance on
JEA, so compulsory attendance, so this is a April update. This is highly recommended. Required to send a child to school.
I think this is weird.
Yeah, so there's a, is the highlighted part, like they're saying you can
I
add
would
that?
say that they have added that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I was like, it doesn't look to be changed.
yeah, so I'd have to look up the order of this, but for a while citations were taken
So-
away as
To
a,
have
yeah.
the child attend, okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, for a while it was like no citations are allowed, and then now there's a shift, I don't remember where or why it came back of you can use them. The push is, hey, if kids aren't coming to school, get to the root of it, and citations don't always work. Like, if you're not trying to remove barriers to come to school, then,
Do you want to take that out? Do you want that in there?
I mean, it says maybe-ish.
It just
I-
says
like,
maybe. I think
yeah.
it's fine to leave it on there.
That's why I feel it's a
I send those
thing,
letters
but
all the time, it's on there as
yeah, for us, it's
very
last alternative, yeah.
Yeah,
But it
sometimes-
allows us to.
But there is a
use
freak
it.
out factor when they see it. So.
Yeah, sometimes getting that is just like, okay, they actually mean business.
Mhm.
I have an issue with using the word control up there.
I know,
That
it's
is
the
weird.
person in control of the child.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that just
But it would,
sounds.
it seems like it should be the guardian or
Yeah.
something. Person having control of the
Guardianship
child.
of
But I mean,
the
it's not always
child.
guardianship though, you know,
Like
like,
instead of saying having
It's
control.
like
of the child,
responsibility.
yeah, maybe person responsible
Like it's
Yeah.
for a child.
They're like the person having control of the
Yeah.
person having guardianship.
That's the luck
of
having
the child.
control.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not sure I feel like I have
The person.
Well, that's what I was gonna say,
Maybe
and
having control
especially when they're
should
not
be-
coming to
It's
school.
like
Yeah.
the person
People-
who owns the kid.
There you go.
Often the person who we might be working with is like, I don't have any control over them, good luck. Right,
Yeah,
so,
say like person's responsible for a child or something.
yeah,
Responsible for the child.
yeah, I think they're, yeah, it's an interesting, because even if you connect it to the citations, like,
Because they've already
they're
took out
not a
legal, 'cause we
guardian.
know that thing is hard, and even guardianship is hard.
Yeah.
Like, they don't always have a guardian.
yeah, and so
It's like it's
therefore,
weird.
citations, like, you don't even
Who are
have
you
somebody to
citing?
cite,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
Citing.
that's part of this is like, there's recognition that there's not a lot of teeth with the citations because of various
Well, we
things,
could
and
just,
that we're
if
trying
no
to
one likes
remove.
control, we could just leave it, person's having responsibility
Mhm.
of a child, because control does seem more weird.
Mhm.
Well,
The person
responsible for
the
Yeah.
child.
for them, I mean, but what if you're responsible for the child, but they're not living with you?
That's true.
Yeah, it's like you don't actually have them under your
Yeah,
care, but you're the responsible.
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that, control is OSBA's word.
Yeah,
I know.
So,
It's like, it's almost like who
Well-
has possession of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who the
Who has
child
them
is
today?
with, who the child is with
It's-
is responsible
Yeah,
for getting
that's
them
a
to
good
school,
point.
that's
Who has
kind of what
them
they're trying to
That's
say.
usually what it is.
Like,
It's
who
well,
has
then
the
let me
kid,
just-
get them to school.
yeah, and I also think there's a piece of like, really when we're saying, hey, it's compulsory and you can get cited because of your actions, I think there's a recognition that like, you do have control of this situation and you are not,
Yeah,
you are choosing to not
yeah.
get your kid to school, or you're actively preventing them from coming to school. And that's when citations are the most effective, because like,
Yeah,
you've removed barriers, you've done all these things, and there's
Yeah.
somebody actively controlling the situation away from attendance.
yeah, it's also
So
that
that might be what
situation
they-
where, you know, kids running off to auntie's house because they're mad at mom and dad, and it's like, well, I don't have to send the kid to school, he's not my kid. It's like, well, you do.
Yeah, you're
Because
controlling this
you
situation.
have the kid, and
Yeah.
it's still your responsibility to make sure they get to school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My guess is that's why it's that word in terms of like how this actually plays out, but it reads really
Maybe they'll
weird.
find a different term in the
Yeah.
future. We'll leave it for now.
okay.
There's no good way to describe it.
Yeah, I don't love it, but I see why they don't want to use one of the more
Yeah.
legal terms, because it might not be the legal person who has the kid.
So this is, in the following cases, children shall not be required to attend public full-time schools. So we've got children being educated in the home by a parent, legal guardian, or private teacher. We could say period, or colon, when and have all of, all of that stuff, all of this stuff in there, or just have it say that children being educated at home are not required.
Is that what that says in the following, so what was
Yes.
that top sentence?
Yeah, so we either have
Like
this,
up there,
oh, yeah, so,
following children shall be, okay, yeah.
so children being educated at home and, I mean,
Like, does everyone want all the additional info, or do you want a period?
I mean, I don't know, the only reason for the additional info that comes to mind immediately is just like, if somebody comes asking what they, then it's there. Like, what do I have to do, like, what are my responsibilities here? But,
I think it's important to outline what homeschooling means
yeah.
in writing, where somebody can look at, we get that question.
Yeah.
And the ESD gets that question, and so I think being
Might as
able to
well have
point and
it.
say,
I agree.
here's the
Here it is.
written version, yeah.
So we're
okay, so
colon.
keep this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this notify the, I don't know what this one is here for, unless it's, unless you're throwing Lane in there, Lane Education Service District, or must notify,
No, they're saying DESD, so depending on where they are.
yeah, I don't know what those brackets are.
I don't think it hurts to write Lane there.
Well, they refer to ESD the whole way.
Right, they say that
Oh,
they change,
after
like,
that.
if they
Yeah,
change
yeah.
ESD,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And down to there. And then children's 6th birthday, children, other children, and, okay, so that's the end of that one. That good?
Yep. And then notices.
Administrative rule on it, notices. So, since we kept the other one, I recommend keeping
Yeah.
that.
Attendance supervisor.
I think that's all just language.
Provide a copy of the notice to the superintendent. So. Yeah,
Designate. Requires such notice to the superintendent, principal, or otherwise appropriate school official. I think we can just say designate. Or yeah, can it say superintendent or designate?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, superintendent or designee. So we can have that in there if we want.
They're saying you could take the whole section out.
Yeah, I would say so.
I don't think it hurts to say this is how we'll evaluate it and
Conference.
what can happen. I think it's a lot easier to print that in point instead of
Yeah.
explain
Laying
it
out,
from,
yeah.
explain it from memory. Like,
Like interpret it. you
yeah,
know,
for my
and see
own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And superintendent or designee may conduct a conference with them, and review the stuff.
I'd leave it.
Taking out that part of citation, so taking out.
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing to me. I don't actually think there's citations allowed. If that changes, so it's saying you may discuss the consequences,
Including the potential for issuance of a citation if applicable.
but then there's no citation process outlined, and I swear that law is still, like, I feel like I'm in meetings where people are like, hey, is that changing? We still need that?
For now, I mean, you've got,
Unless the
Yeah.
next,
in accordance with the RS 339.5,
oh, so this is they crossed the part right of, sorry. The district should consult with the ESD on which superintendent will issue a citation, if at all, before adopting bracketed language. So the ESD had, I think, this one I think we should take, let me take it back and call Tony and say, what are we doing with this? Because there's money in the state for ESDs to provide a attendance, like think truancy officer, like for the citations. But then that actually went away at one point. That person was on my team when I was at the ESD, and then like the funding was gone, and we just provided more support to go work with families to figure out how to get them to school. But nobody was doing citations, and I have not heard any shift to citations being even an allowable thing, let alone something that's existing. And so I don't know if but I feel like people have been asking for that, and so I think right now where we stand is that that sentence at the beginning about may issue a citation, I don't think that's actually true in our county. And so, and I never thought of it as a county level, but anyway, I don't know beyond our county, but right now I don't think there's any capacity for somebody to say, here's your citation. So
I mean, would you want that?
it would be so rare, right? This is year 3 and I've never even thought about calling for that. We try to do it on a personal level and approach it that way. If it exists, might there be a case at some point that it's like, no, we need that? And sometimes, like somebody said, I hate to use the word threat, but the threat of it, like when it's written on something and I have families that tell their kids, like, you better get there, I'm not getting a citation because of you, right? That language is helpful. Going back to who's in control of the situation, like it helps them, right? So, but the reality is, I'm not sure that there's so, and it still says may, so maybe we keep it, we may, but we may not because we don't think it exists. So, I just don't know the best way to put this into actual writing. So let me call Tony and say, like, what are people doing? What do they recommend here? And then bring that back with, are you guys good if we just make it whatever's recommended, and then we'll name this one before we approve next month?
Okay.
Yeah. While he's typing that real quick, somebody came to me about the movie policy today and trying to get it right, and I remembered that's one that I really want to revisit the language of. it's a very, I don't know the right word, but it requires a lot of, even for G movies, there's a lot of action required in it. And so, when I looked it up, it's an I, so it would have been on last month's, and for some reason it wasn't flagged in this, so for next month I want to put the movie one on the list.
Yeah.
So. That was one I noticed my first year and was like, at some point we'll revisit
that.
policies and do it, and then today I was like, wait,
We didn't.
we didn't do it. So,
Yeah, so we'll look through this. There's a few more spots to add things in. Assume that we need to add in these names and contact information
okay.
and stuff, so we'll.
Yeah, figure out. Are we really setting more?
Jack, admissions. This is just a review. It was last reviewed in 19.
We wanna, that was where we've not completed 12 years of education, like, is that actually the right way to say that, or?
Well, I feel like kindergarten plus 12 is 13.
Me too. That's my first
Is that
part.
what you mean?
Well, that and also like, is there some more official, like, who have not graduated or who've not completed a degree or something like that?
Yeah.
You know, is there some other way of saying it? Because like, I don't know. But the initial thing that cued me was like, I thought it was 13. So,
What's our total attendance, JD?
Are you opening that? Oh, just-
Because JEA said something about, yeah, when they need to,
okay.
between
Oh,
the
you-
ages of 6 and 18, and
Who not to do
completed
the 12th
12th
grade, see,
That
that's
seems-
better.
that seems like a-
That seems better.
Yeah, if we just take that same exact sentence over, or description, maybe that's it.
Because, I mean, is kindergarten required? Because kindergartners are 5, aren't they?
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
And some kids have not gone to kindergarten and go right into first grade.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, maybe that's why they're saying 12 years before,
Mhm.
because it wasn't, kinder wasn't.
But I still think it makes more sense to say
Yeah, yeah.
completed
Yeah,
12th grade.
12th grade. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's just a review, right?
Yeah,
You're saying
we've
here.
not completed the 12th grade.
Mhm.
That's good.
And just a note, in connection with charter conversations, this one may be worth a revisit if
Yeah.
charter things move forward.
Yeah,
So
sure.
there's some language there that gets a little,
Right. Yeah, it talks about, this is an inner district and all that.
Is that, oh, because 2019 was
when open enrollment.
something, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what the purpose was.
So leave that in there for whatever. Okay, any Anything else on that one? You're seeing?
The, McKinney-Vento, like students who have homeless status, if they, just the foster care inclusion at the end, I wonder if there should be a sentence about McKinney-Vento, if they move out of the district, they're still considered an enrolled, like, and actually transportation responsibility falls to us. So it might be worth adding one sentence there about McKinney-Vento.
Yeah, because it is cited at the bottom of the.
Is it?
Yeah, it's cited at the bottom of the policy, McKinney-Vento is,
Yeah.
but we don't, say.
Well, so they said cross-reference JECBD homeless students, so it might be that there's actually a whole.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
okay, so that's what,
separate.
then we don't need to put it here,
Yeah.
okay.
Exchange students.
Okay, and we'll hit that one actually. Admission of resident students.
And do we want to change 5? I mean, we accept to do preschool.
That's a good question.
I don't know, because they're not, well,
So the one tricky thing on that is if we're at capacity in the preschool, we don't guarantee enrollment beyond capacity.
Yeah.
And so if we put 3 years old and up here, it implies that.
and we could charge tuition if we
Right.
wanted to.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, and I think there's been a commitment to not doing that.
Right, but like what Sarah's saying is like, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, like if we, right, okay. Yeah. If we had to, or we decided for whatever reason we were gonna. Okay, cool.
I don't know if you need to look at that.
I am, that's the one I'm
Just a
waiting.
little,
Yeah, that's weird. The first one, it will deny regular school admission to a student who has become a resident student and who is under expulsion from another district for reasons other than a weapons violation.
so is that saying that if it
Yeah.
is a weapons policy violation, we could
We would
admit
not.
them, but if it's not that, then we won't admit them?
I know, that's.
Well,
what
the
I'm
next
doing. Yeah.
sentence is weapon specific.
I know, but like, it's, on both of them, just say you
Yeah,
won't
yeah.
admit anyone under expulsion from another district, the way I'm reading that.
Yeah. For at least one county, we did expulsion.
So we are saying we're not going to accept a student who's been expelled from another district.
Right, at all.
Yeah,
That's what it's saying, I think.
Yeah.
yeah.
So should it say like may
I
or?
mean, that tends to be the options, may or will.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would say may.
May. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Are we doing may on both of them? or-
I would think may on both of them, because then you're not committed
Yeah.
either way.
And do we want may on
I
may?
think that,
Well, I don't know if it's.
I think that one we probably have to do, right? There's probably some,
I don't know.
Well, if there's no alternative program.
I mean, I would assume that's some sort of part of the law.
I would think the may deny for the non-weapon and the will deny, did I say non-weapon, the first one?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then will or shall, whatever, deny for for 1 year for a weapons violation seems like a good standard policy. And if they move out here and need, like, there are ways to, like an you know, you can do an online program for a year and then
What
come back
if
in
the
and get to know.
district has a 0 tolerance and some kid happened to bring his pocket knife to school?
Well, they might not be expelled for that.
For 0
Oh,
tolerance.
0 tolerance.
Yeah.
Right,
And so they're
Yeah.
expelled for a weapons violation.
right, but
Where
it's,
we would be like, I get it, I
Yeah, like
understand
you-
what was wrong there.
Yeah. yeah, I mean, I
I mean,
don't think
just
it
to
hurts.
toss out scenarios.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts us
Rather than
if
saying the word will or.
And have, just do May for all,
except for that last one, the board will provide alternative programs of instruction to a student expelled for a weapons.
yeah, so the interesting thing is they live in your region now. So that this is saying if they move to your region.
Right.
If a kid's expelled from Florence, say
Mhm.
for a weapons violation and calls us, we're not gonna inter-district transfer you
Right.
for that,
But
right?
if they moved
That
up
we're gonna
there,
hold
yeah.
their, but if you got kicked out of 4J and your family moved out here
Mm-hmm.
and you're fresh start or doing whatever, or whatever, I don't know what's going on. I think it's a, yeah,
Well, just the last one, I mean, there are laws about educating every school in every residence.
Yeah.
This.
we have to provide something anyway.
Yeah.
So putting a may on it allows us to meet with the kid and say,
Mhm.
what's the scenario, what's this, are you a safety
Uh-huh.
hazard? So that's not the right word. And, sorry, I couldn't get a different one.
Not exactly.
And then
Right.
come up with the right placement, which certainly might be an alternative placement.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we do a May for all 3 of these?
Well, if it's gonna be May for all 3, can we just say do we have to, can we just say expulsion from another district? On the first one, period?
Yeah, not
Mhm.
specify weapons.
I don't know if we have to list multiple, I mean,
Just
that's
say
weird.
Yeah. The board may
just
deny.
under
review of
expulsion
school.
from another district, period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
and then that last one, I would love it to say the board will provide alternative programs of instruction to a resident student expelled for a weapons policy violation. Just to clarify, when you get kicked out of other districts for, and would this still be for a student expelled from another district?
Or expelled
For
from
any policy violation. If we say we're denying you and you live in our area,
Yeah.
we actually have to
do
provide
something.
you something.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a resident.
Yeah.
So are we saying we'll provide alternative programs of instruction to an expelled resident student?
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we're leaving that as will?
Yeah, I think we have to. Yeah.
Okay, rolling with that.
That was weird though, that it specifies the weapons when there's many reasons why kids are expelled. You know, you can be violent without a weapon. I mean, I don't know, just think, but I don't know why that was like that. And when was this? This was, the last time we looked at it was in,
18,
yeah.
twice in 18.
Interesting. Somebody get expelled in 18?
Possible.
Yeah, it seemed like, we don't have a lot of reviewed ones in 2018, but it was twice that year, so.
Mm.
Or something legally might have changed at that time too with
Yeah.
safe schools and probably school shootings, unfortunately.
Is that in the Umpqua community,
Maybe.
Umpqua Community College one?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay. Authorization, admission of exchange students. We,
Sounds like this might be a thing we should review.
Yeah.
For real.
we may accept or will accept.
Is, Mizu, you might be the local expert on this right now, but is J1 visas what they use?
Yeah,
Do you know?
I don't know yet. We're still actually not like getting
Early. Okay.
stuff, visa stuff. but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I assume that hasn't changed, but that's, then down further, there's F1.
Yeah, you got F1 privately sponsored exchange students on an F1 visa versus J1.
Yeah, and
I don't know anything specific about
Right.
types of visas. Let me,
So it just looks like we need to worry about the will or may at the top, right?
It may allow 2 exchange students. Yeah.
cheating and looking at another district here.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Okay, so students coming and living here and pursuing, continuing their studies versus just exchange programs. So J1, just exchange programs. So we will accept ones that are on exchange programs and privately sponsored.
And the F1s will accept if they pay.
So presumably those are guardians, so maybe a parent is here on a visa also, and and so the student has an F1 visa.
Do they
living
have to
there.
pay tuition?
I know. Look at its established district rate. Does that mean like the ADM value, like?
No.
Oh, because we can't claim them, or?
Yeah, I'm looking, I just pulled up the district that we kind of cheat and look to.
I would think we ought to be able to claim them still,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because if,
I mean, Front Ridge does it all the time, I don't know what they do,
Mm-hmm.
but Elmira High School always has exchange students.
Does it have anything?
Probably all on J1s though, right?
What's that?
They're probably all on J1s though, right?
I would think, they're in a program for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, the ones that are in a program are on J1s.
so they're not required to pay tuition.
Well, yes, we're planning on it.
They're J1.
Yeah.
J1.
We're getting an exchange student.
We're trying to host, yeah.
Who? You?
Let's talk after
Oh,
this.
wow. I mean, it is such a sadness that we haven't had exchange students at this school for years.
Yeah.
It used to be just, it's standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Because this
Well,
will
and-
likely
and-
be reality for us this year, I pulled up, Umatillas, and I think I recommend pulling, theirs was last reviewed July of '23,
Mhm.
and what's ours?
14.
Yeah, and there's a very different order to it, so it's a hard comparison, but it kind of starts with, in the interest of furthering better understanding, there's a reason for it, and then there's exchange students must meet the regulations and expectations of local students, including immunization requirements. High school diploma may be awarded at regular commencement exercises to all exchange students who successfully meet the necessary academic requirements during the year in which they attend, which I don't see
No, there's
on that one. So I think my recommendation is that we
Not there.
hold this one put that into the second review, and just for just to follow up on the J1, so at the bottom, like even this sentence is different. The board reserves the right to limit the number of exchange students in a given year. It doesn't like mix up two and then say you get to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like that was in parentheses and somebody forgot to pick. So, and then, okay, privately sponsored exchange students on an F1 visa may only attend secondary schools within the district and are required to pay tuition at the established district rate. The period of attendance may not exceed 12 months.
So like, I mean, that's what this had, what we have.
Kind of so, okay, and then exchange,
Goes inside of their visa,
yeah,
Yes.
and then you can't claim them because of it.
Yeah, they must be.
and then exchange students attending district schools on a J1 visa as part of a group-sponsored program are not required to pay tuition.
Right, which is the,
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the same thing.
It does, actually. It's just,
Yeah.
it's different
Because you
order.
got the exchange students must comply with
Yeah.
Yep.
immunization, and they become subject to district policies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of been a different order through it, so maybe this works. I think theirs is newer. If we just pull it, we're not disagreeing with anything on it.
Uh-huh.
And it's got the little bit of like, hey, we think this is important because we want to meet kids from around the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is JICPA.
And then they have I think it's on here, the AR that goes with it. We can look at ours, but they have a very robust
Yeah, we're popping that up next.
AR.
Transfer.
Well, actually, it's not as long as I thought, but
materials.
Yeah, let's just pull theirs. I'm all for that.
JICPA AR, definition of foreign exchange students.
yeah, it's actually pretty similar. Student participation representation. Most of this language at first glance is
We've got a list of organizations that we can,
I mean,
they do not, on this one. It has numbers 1 through 6, which would be A, B, C, D, E, F. And then G is not.
I mean, do you want to list all of them?
I
Or
don't
do you
think,
want to be open?
Yeah, you would.
yeah, I don't think we should limit what,
I don't know if there are others that not
What if
listed.
some new programs,
Yeah.
like, hey, would you guys want to? Then it's like,
Yeah.
right, like whichever.
sorry, no.
like,
Yeah.
what about Gear Up or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like maybe they want to go on the Gear Up something, I don't know.
Right.
I mean,
Like-
some of those might not even exist anymore.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
I know,
my-
exactly.
Too, they might.
Yeah, that was my thinking on that.
We could just say, like, organization, like, participation will be approved case by case. Or just leave G off, honestly.
Yeah.
Just leave it
Yeah,
out.
that's what.
We're
That's what
obviously
this
gonna
one is.
analyze the program and wants to
Yeah.
send a student.
Make sure they have.
yeah,
good
well,
score
and
and
they have,
everything.
will be
Yeah,
selected,
selected discretion
the
and
building
Yeah.
administrator's
And the-
discretion.
In this case, the exchange program, I keep wanting to say owns, but they do own a lot of their, controls a lot of their schedule and calendar and the activities they do, and they're beholden to their exchange program.
Yeah.
The attending of the school is just a part of that, and it's actually a, not a minimal part. Going to school is a huge part of their day, but a lot of the extracurricular stuff is owned by the exchange, controlled by the exchange program.
Yeah.
So we don't get to like control what activities they do that much anyway. In a really well-run exchange program, which this particular one is.
Yeah. But the high school may accept a maximum of 2 full-year students from foreign countries. Do we want to keep that?
Sorry.
I don't know, kind of like
Why would
restricting it.
care?
You know, they,
Yeah.
I don't know what work is required
I know,
on our
and
part.
why 2 and not 3 or
Yeah.
why a number at all? I think you just get rid of that, because
Isn't this how some small schools are filling their basketball teams?
yes,
Right,
yes,
yes,
actually, yes,
actually.
actually it is.
Yes, if you only put two.
Right, yeah.
We need at least
We need
five.
a solid five.
We need 4 next year. No, just
But
kidding.
they're not coming from, necessarily coming from foreign countries, I mean, you know, some
Okay.
basketball teams are coming from,
Sure,
Think about
Right.
football.
yes.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Samoa.
Yeah.
I hate football.
Let's just get rid of A, totally, right?
Yeah.
Because B covers it, B says at the
Yeah.
discretion of the
Yeah, and if you're like, this
anyway.
is too much, then
Yeah.
we're
I just
full.
wanna say, our last couple were golf and soccer. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
here.
you have an addition
So
here,
we'll
so
say
you
so.
have
Yeah,
two
I mean, 'cause
full-time
that's
ones.
Posted, yeah.
And then in addition, you could have up to 2 short-term programs also.
See,
The one I'm looking at, this is a larger district than us. The high school may accept a maximum of 6 full-year students from other countries. In addition, up to 2 students may be accepted at any one time. Like, this is never gonna matter. Like,
I know.
I mean,
I
if that
don't
became a
think
problem,
we
I
need
think we'd visit it.
yeah, I
We're
don't even
getting a
think we
whole,
need.
like,
Yes.
neighborhood from some country that they're all coming from.
Yeah.
So
But
you're
that
on,
other thing, I think you take out too, because
Yeah,
who
take it
cares,
out.
you might want it,
Yeah,
and you don't wanna have rules as
Right,
yeah.
short term.
Yeah,
and maybe instead of at the discretion of the building administrator, we say at the discretion of the superintendent.
Superintendent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
the,
And is the July thing a hard and fast thing?
This, does it say may not be accepted? This one says August 1st.
It says they can't be accepted after July 1st.
Yeah, the one like the other district has August 1st, so it's not, it doesn't have to be July.
Right.
What if we
And
just?
we're not gonna.
And also
approve
is it-
July.
Registration is August 20th, or,
August.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
2
make
weeks
it
before school
our,
starts.
let's make it our
Right.
registration date.
It might be, it's good to know, it's probably better to know a little further ahead of
Yeah,
time.
that's
Yeah.
true. Maybe August.
let's say
is
August,
good.
August 1st.
Yeah.
August 1st.
But it's interesting, does it have to be board approval?
I mean, yeah, well, because you wouldn't meet by August 1st.
Right, this is why I'm saying, yeah, like we'd have to, yes.
There is, sorry,
Oh,
And
what-
also,
what does it actually say?
well, it
It
says,
says we'll obtain approval from the board
The
by,
organizations or individuals.
maybe you just say by the start of the school year.
This says high school administrator, so
I
it's
was
not
gonna
even the
say-
board. This
I know.
is all
I'm
potential
saying, why does the board
organizations.
need to approve?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
This
you
is
want-
saying just do the high
Sue.
school administrator or the superintendent, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
I think the high school administrator, the superintendent is fine.
Yeah,
Do you want it to say,
We don't
That it may
need
not be
you don't need our
May.
approval
right.
to accept
Yeah.
new
Yeah,
students. So I don't think you need our approval to accept a foreign exchange student.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is just another new student.
Right.
And in this case, or in most exchange cases, the reason that there would be a student here is because there is a family in our district that is hosting that student. So they are going to have to attend school here, otherwise that family's gonna have to take them to a different district, which is doing our district a disservice. So
Yes.
you should be able to just approve a new student in our district.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't need board approval.
Yeah.
One, D, just a foreign student, they're using an exchange student just to keep the language the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
So instead
say
it-
exchange student,
Replace
foreign.
foreign with,
and
exchange.
exchange?
Yeah. There was, I had an interesting conversation with a parent about whether when their kids are older and wanted to go to an exchange in another country, whether that experience would transcribe back
Yeah,
to us.
right.
And I guess in some districts it doesn't, and there was a question of like, Is that because that district says no, or is it, anyway, I haven't had time to look that up yet, but just know, there are people ask, and I think when we get exchange students here, it sparks the interest of
Yeah.
our
can I go
students to
there?
go
Yeah,
on an
uh-huh.
exchange, and at some point, we may want to figure out what policy says they can get,
Academic credit.
credit or not, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I exchanged, it was through the school, so it was kind of it was already embedded.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be the ideal, that you're not taking a
Mhm.
gap year from school and
Right.
then
Yeah.
I don't understand why it wouldn't credit, but
Because
I
how would
don't,
that be beneficial?
Yeah,
If
I
you're
just
back
didn't
and
know if I
lost
was-
a year.
yeah, I didn't know if I was missing like a rule or a law or something that says no,
Well,
but,
they're in school, but there are different curriculums. And if you go from here to like Denmark,
Mhm.
they're way ahead of us.
well, so like, I
That-
feel like we should credit that experience, but who says, so like, the thing that says counselors will review appropriate, there are,
Oh,
people who can review an international diploma
yeah.
and give credit for it, so that's where, that was my answer to the parent, is like, I feel like
There's
this
a way
is
to figure it
possible.
out, yeah.
Because we do it for international students that move to the country, you're moving back. You had, you were there, so I think that would be the answer, but anyway, just a name, that was a recent conversation.
When we admit a kid from another country, how do we place them?
That's the,
By
so,
year or by their age or
there are best practices now, like we haven't had to deal with that here, but in fourth grade, it's a fairly regular
Yeah.
thing. And there's a, person, and at one point it was a person, and then that became hard, and so there's an organization that does that, and they'll do transcript reviews. I don't know where it stands right now, but if somebody showed up here, I'd call them and be like, how do you do this?
All right.
And follow
Yeah.
their
All right, cool.
That was good?
Yep.
Yeah.
JC, student withdrawal from school.
different.
What year was this one? What's your?
14.
Okay.
What? Why do they know?
What? The department?
ODOT.
Yeah,
Oh, because there's.
suspension of driving privileges.
Do the damn.
What is this JC? Sorry.
Mm.
Let me catch up here. I got it.
don't understand why.
15?
It is not.
Board policy JHFDA.
JHFDA.
So if you're not attending school, because you actually withdrew, not just like non-attendance, because we get that all the time, right?
Then
Then you lose your driving privileges.
I will say that is not a policy in this school district
No, and-
that I'm looking at.
And I don't see why you
And
make it a policy.
And
It's
we
hard
don't,
enough for us to get information about the kids we do have here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in charge of taking care of their driving. We're trying like hell to get them driver's licenses.
Yeah, and
I don't want to then try like hell to not give them the
Yeah, you
right to
wouldn't want to
drive.
restrict somebody's ability to,
Yeah.
I don't know, based on their school.
Did our kids, when they got their licenses, I think they are asked if they are students, right? Is that why?
Well, see, and this
I don't
isn't that
remember.
this
Is it?
isn't just like a kid who's just not showing up to school, like they've withdrawn from school. So I don't know if it's like,
Like, are they
A
trying to
state
say
thing?
that like, in Oregon, is it it's not a requirement for for a kid to be going to school to get a license, but they do ask that question.
they do ask.
And so are they saying that if they withdraw from school, then that also somehow now doesn't qualify for them to get their license? Is this a law?
That's what I'm
I don't know.
wondering. I wonder if it didn't used to be, but they've
I
just
am
kind of fallen
wondering,
away
too.
from, like, they can't make it a lot either, but it's still in people's paperwork.
I think it's terrible.
I'm wondering,
Yeah.
because, I mean, okay, in, districts like ours where, socioeconomic status is a real thing, kids that withdraw, sometimes withdrawing because they have to like work.
Yes, and you can't get to work if you
Yeah.
can't drive
Their
legally.
families need-
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like this is one of those.
I'm just
requirements.
like,
Me
this
too,
is,
this is,
Seeking
this
driving
is like,
privileges.
almost like a discriminatory practice
Right.
in my
yeah,
my brain.
yeah.
But I do wonder if it's like a Oregon thing.
Right.
That top part definitely was related.
It did you see that first part? Like their eligibility to drive?
The AI,
In that,
Yeah,
that
the
we're
AI.
required to,
But-
what is it, pulling something old?
yeah, but there's no longer a 339257.
Let's delete that
so-
policy.
Yeah,
And we don't have JHFDA,
Okay, so that's gone.
We don't need it.
Right.
so we want to delete
Yes, let's
Because
get rid
I
of that.
promise we haven't been doing that.
J.
So,
and
let's
actually,
get rid of
the first thing you said about having to keep track of this kind of stuff, like, no, thank you.
And if this
Well,
is a
then-
thing, turns out there's databases and
Right.
at the state, like,
Yeah.
Right.
they
Well, at
can
the
send
same
it
time, if they
over,
come
not
back,
us.
now you have to
Right.
remember
So, like,
to tell them they can drive again.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of our students are, it's already a barrier for them to get their license?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
I,
yes, yes, it's a huge,
so many of our kids don't get it until after they graduate.
yeah,
So,
and even, and then often not for a long time after, because it's hard, those barriers are still there, or more.
I'm having animal issues, so I have
Okay.
to, I want that to end the meeting. Welcome to.
There you go.
oh,
Okay,
that's so great.
okay, good luck.
Jetta truancy,
Well, you just don't wanna do a second half.
Really nice
No, I would've
way
chosen
to
a different
bail.
one.
Well,
Yeah.
I,
It feels like a real
uh,
nice, like 9 o'clocker.
Yep.
Andrea, I like that you're walking out on truancy.
Oh my
God.
Where'd she go?
Wow, absence without permission.
That's right. I didn't ask. Bye.
The district will develop procedures that foster partnership with parents and the early detection of truancy. Okay, that's great. Moving on.
all right with that?
Yeah.
Jeff,
Jeff. Students may be released from school to engage in private instruction with the program superintendent. Private students, parents, students all responsibility for transportation and mobility. Yep, okay, well, that's good.
Okay.
Jeff,
That we have to do by law, right?
That was the
The release
religious
time.
release, yeah.
Yeah, that's me pulling my daughter for dance on Thursdays. And, remote taking language classes on Fridays. Well,
Yeah.
there's no school on Fridays.
Right.
we need to,
Oh, this one.
this is,
Oh, close, and.
so this was done in 17.
Right.
Wait,
That
this
was when we were really trying to make our lunch program viable.
Yeah.
We used to have an open campus.
Yeah, what is this JEFA?
Is our campus?
We are closed campus and seniors can earn,
Exactly.
like
Mhm.
reward, so a couple things on that, this is my own bias and experience, I've been part of schools with deaths returning from lunch, and obviously I worked in the city, there's more traffic, but even here, like, I don't like kids rushing home to, or somewhere to do something off campus,
Mhm.
so I try like heck to not let them drive each other during that time, and that it limits how many kids actually want it, because they want to go hang out with their friends somewhere, but and the transportation, it's a barrier, and I don't like them driving each other during lunch. So we don't have a ton of kids who leave campus for this. We sign some of these. There are some students that like this becomes a nice thing to like, I want to be able to give you permission to go home for a little bit, come to school every day so that we can give you that reward. Like it's nice to have it in place. I like the way it exists currently. And most of our seniors stay, right? They like to have permission to leave, but they mostly stay. So that's kind of where we're at.
So, all right, to just leave this,
Yeah, I don't know. I just tell them in person they can't drive each other, and then when I find out they are, I get on them about driving each other for a while, and I don't know if it needs to be in writing, but it's the one thing, it makes me so nervous.
Well, I mean, if it's not you here, I mean, these are
Yeah,
beyond you and
Yeah.
into 20 years from now. Does it need to be stipulated or
is there anything insurance connected to that? The open close, has that ever come up as a?
Not that, not that
Yeah.
I've heard in any of my
Okay.
meetings.
In Phoenix, it was a thing, like, and it's been so long, I don't know how it was a thing, but like, liability and those kind of things with having open campuses, like, was part of conversations, and most went to closed through that, but, I don't think it needs to be in writing. Yeah, I mean.
You don't actually put carrying their lunch privilege pass, you don't, we don't issue them a lunch privilege pass, right?
Well, you walk past Jamie and.
I know, but so
You have a
can we
pass.
just get rid of carrying
Yeah,
their
yeah.
lunch privilege
So they
pass?
do need an approved application form.
Right, no, it's just that they're always
They're
have to be
carrying.
carrying their lunch privilege pass, because they're not gonna do that.
Oh, no, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm looking at number
Yeah.
one, you're talking about above that. Yeah, we don't need to. We know who's approved.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of all sorts of like, if we were gonna like try and, like I'd want like siblings to be, like you'd be okay to drive your sibling somewhere.
Yeah,
Maybe,
if
like,
you're
like, yeah,
Yeah,
or things like that.
Yeah.
And honestly.
and
like-
that's different than, so like, if your sibling's not a senior, they don't actually have permission to leave campus, which we've
right.
fought for a long time of
Mhm.
seniors who go and, I'm like, why is this
Yeah.
freshman kid in there, like, you don't have permission to leave campus.
Right,
Get
yeah,
back here, and so
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we've fought it a little bit, we've really, it's not a thing right now, like every once in a while, somebody's in a car where I'm like, you don't even have permission to, like, and I just send a message that says, heard you took somebody today, don't do that, and they say, okay, and then I hope they don't do it again. So, and I think it can go on the form that like, hey, you drive somebody that doesn't have permission to leave campus,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
that'd be
revoke
okay.
yours for a couple weeks.
Right.
Like, something like
Yeah.
that is how I can enforce that versus in policy, so,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, so like, if a senior needed to drive their kid, not their kid, their sibling during lunch, I still need a parent call to say that's
Yeah,
allowed.
that's-
And that's
that's
what we've
more
worked
of a-
really hard to fix, and
Yeah.
I think we've done a good job on that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so just,
Leave it as it is,
that good?
yeah.
and just take out the carry the privilege pass.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Really like,
It's
Yeah,
like
just
the
required.
bathroom key, but that is a toilet seat or something.
Okay, I have a question mark for delete on this one, student behavior expectations.
JFCAR.
Yeah,
Students.
no laws
Right.
tied
It's
with
not
this.
This is more.
AR. I mean,
Oh.
this isn't policy worthy, this is the
Yeah.
rules
this
of the
is in the
school.
Salty's guide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so yeah, let's delete
I'd
it.
delete this.
Delete it.
Yeah.
That was JFCA.
And then there's an A.
Personal electronic devices, policy prohibits, so this is an AR, JFCEB.
Oh,
Personal,
oh, wait, permit,
So
the AR.
so
yeah.
JFCEB prohibits the use of personal electronic devices, but this AR
Permits it.
permits it. Students may use and possess them.
Oh,
And
so
so-
we need
We
to
should get rid
Delete.
of this.
Delete.
Don't, yeah. The seniors are gonna show up with their phones telling me, oh,
Well, yeah, hey,
we made a
this-
mistake.
Yeah.
We graduated a week early and we're gonna use our phones the rest of
Guess
the
what?
quarter.
Yep, Thomas, turn lane.
Yep.
you know, the state's looking at,
Yeah, I haven't, I was just talking to somebody about that today, I haven't heard any updates on it, but, it was moving through, I don't know if it's still in committee or anything, but, like a statewide ban on, personal devices.
look at Mapleton ahead of our time.
discipline for use of tobacco or inhalant or vapes. This is a delete as an option.
Because it's already,
Because it's like
Somewhere
another
else.
one that's
I
like
think
a
it's
rule.
another
Right.
salties
Uh-huh.
versus.
Yes. yep.
And we already have
There-
like the tobacco-free, we're like. the-
Yeah, and there's plans in play, like, I think this gets attended to in so many spots that it's dangerous to have it here, because it could say something different.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Delete.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a tobacco-free, but that doesn't mean that there aren't infractions.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I think we've already,
We have it in other
we have it in
places.
other, I mean, this is coming up.
Yeah, the policy and, yeah,
The
yeah,
policies
I
come
think so.
up and we have one for the staff and all sorts of stuff.
No tobacco has ever been used on this campus.
This one is just a review.
When was this one? June?
16.
I find it funny that those are the three things, like, fundamental for. Like, they're fine, but there's probably a few more.
It's an exhaustive list.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
They cherry-picked these two.
Titles and or privileges available may be denied and or revoked. Valedictorian, salutatorian, student life, wow, it's like this big one, et cetera. If you're valedictorian, why would, oh, I guess you know if you're valedictorian before you.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah, don't mess up fourth quarter.
What do you say, Sue, about that?
Yeah, I'm comparing it to other district to see if it's the same exact language so far, so I think, yeah, it's literally this, when the suspension expulsion is required by law when an out of school suspension. There's one sentence in this one, special education students shall be disciplined in accordance with federal law
Oh.
and board policy GD, whatever, letters.
Sound it out.
Yeah, I couldn't. Can't name them, I kept trying to. Company administrative regulation, like, even the, I don't know, it seems implied that we follow the laws on all,
Yeah.
somewhere up above there, I feel like
When
it.
a suspension or expulsion is required. But
Yeah, and I mean, that's true for all discipline beyond that, but I think we're. Yeah, I think we're fine how it is.
Okay.
This one was
What's it do?
April update, corporal
No, I'm
punishment.
just kidding. That's not what that means.
Allowing us to-
I'm sorry. Stay here too late
This
to
is-
make bad
This
jokes.
is an optional policy. While state law prohibits the use of corporal punishment, having a policy which states this is optional. So we don't need this policy
Right.
saying that,
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, I guess, to have it to say, but I don't know, I don't care.
a parent or
It makes me sad that we
parent or
need it.
legal guardian of the minor
Like,
child
we
may
don't
use reasonable
do
physical
this.
force.
Right.
So, there, sorry, I started to say something and then,
So this policy is optional? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't think we
Then
need it.
then let's not, if it's, yeah.
yeah, what I was trying to see if there's any explicit connection to seclusion and restraint.
There is, that
Are they-
part, the staff members are authorized to employ reasonable physical force, and it lists the ORS,
Yeah,
that one.
but
But
we
it,
have, but
That'll
We
be
have
separate,
sufficient
we have a
streets,
separate,
yeah, I think we're fine without this.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, is it, in the April update, is it highly recommended?
Optional.
Option, yeah, we're good.
So if a staff member did employ corporal punishment in any way, shape, or form, you wouldn't need that to.
No.
Because they're already breaking the law for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
so.
In case the
you
state changes their mind, it says we still don't hit our kids.
Right.
Like, in Oregon, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. Right?
There are other states that I think
You want to have it.
you'd want to put this in place.
Mhm.
I haven't heard us considering moving away from this.
Jude, detention of students. Names of
How's this applicable?
Is this another optional one? Students.
No, this
It's
is
just a
this is
review.
re-adopted
Oh, this is
in
probably us.
14.
Yeah.
Students may be kept in at noon, but lunch must be arranged.
So if you have lunch
The
detention,
only
you have to
kid I
pay.
haven't fed this year during lunch was my own. I
Wow.
just didn't find it, like, he was in trouble, but then it's like, can I eat? And I was like, oh,
Oh, right,
I
guess
don't
so.
know. Do I have to feed you?
Yes, it must be right.
There's a policy, it's Jugabus.
Yeah, you can come after me. I feel like we don't need this in policy. And even the language of at noon is weird.
Yeah.
Because on certain days
It's
it's at
not
noon
noon.
30. So, I feel like this gets, and there's a cross reference to restraint and seclusion, but that has nothing to do with keeping kids in at noon.
Yeah.
And that's not called detention, so
I mean, you
I actually,
can have detention of students and get rid of the top sentence and then change it that students may be kept with I mean, what time is,
At
seems like a
lunch?
silly thing to
Like there
say,
can
lunch
be
or after
lunch
school.
detention or after school detention.
well, and even after, yeah, informing the parent, like, we're not gonna keep a kid without parental
Of
consent.
course.
So like, this makes it sound like
Especially a
we,
transported one, yeah.
yeah,
They're
like,
bused.
the teacher, we don't inform the parent that we're keeping them after school, we request the permission to, and if it can't be done that way, we're gonna figure out a way it can be done, right?
Mhm.
So, I don't know, I would just delete this.
Do
I mean,
do we have
have
somewhere
detention
else
though.
that we talk about detention?
Do we have somewhere else we talk about detention?
I feel like there's a reason this is being called
Yeah,
out.
for sure.
Yeah, I will say the district I'm looking at, this isn't a policy, it's JGD, well, and I'll type in, I can do it on ours too, but, detention, let me see if that comes up anywhere.
We've got
There's
suspension.
JG student discipline,
Student discipline.
does it, if we search the word detention in there, does it,
Oh, we just looked,
just
we
did
looked
that
at student discipline. as-
JG, Student discipline.
yeah.
That one's just talking about making sure that we're enforcing consistently and fairly and.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a, let me, real quick, what's
Because if a
that,
parent is questioning like what's your detention policy? Like, I do feel like that might.
but, so that can be, I mean, this gives permission to do detentions.
yeah,
Right.
Yes,
Each
'cause
teacher
you've
can do
got
a
detention
detention
there.
differently. We do, we do 10-minute tardy parties supposedly daily. I mean, we try to do it daily, we need to make sure it's supervised, but, like, we do it. I don't
Okay.
know that we need policy to, like, they're
Okay.
here, that they've lost some privilege during that time. The
Okay.
piece about, hey, you have to feed them during that, maybe we need to say that in writing, but I don't think so. So I just
Okay.
looked up the word detention, how, am I on our district or theirs at this point? Sorry, let me look up one thing on ours. Detention.
yeah, it mentions detention in JG, yeah.
Yeah, and JFCG discipline for Like, there are places a lot that the word detention is used when we're,
Okay.
as a possible, even the personal electronic devices, possible, things or parent notification conference, detention, suspension,
Yeah,
those kind of
okay.
things. So it's naming it where it needs to, well, there's permission kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
assumed in here.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
JG student discipline examples include but are not limited to reprimands, conferences, detention, and denial of participation in co-curricular and extracurricular
Okay.
activities.
That's
Great.
good.
Okay, so we can
Yeah.
get rid of JGB.
Yeah. Suspension.
And this was done in 16, is that what it says?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So you could suspend, or the board authorizes suspension based on these instances.
So this implies all of our suspensions are out-of-school suspensions. We don't do in-school suspensions.
Well, I do almost all in school.
Okay, because it does say
Very
students
rarely
who
out of
are
school.
suspended may not attend after-school activities, athletic events, or be present on district property.
Mhm.
So we need to change that sentence.
Yeah, so it should be students who are suspended, or out of school suspended, or suspended out of school. Yeah, maybe we do say something in
Yeah.
school in there.
Well, you don't, you've never
Where we
had an
should-
in-school suspension where where the student couldn't attend an activity?
Have I ever let them go to an activity on an in-school suspension day? Yes. Usually it's a no. So like if you're in-school suspended, you don't do the
Right.
activity after school. Sometimes you have 2 days in school suspension, or like it started on a Monday at noon and you're going through Wednesday morning, but I'm letting you go to practice on Wednesday because you missed Monday. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of figure it out by each, but in general, you're missing the other things too.
So the first sentence maybe should be the board authorizes student in school or out of school suspension for one or more of the following reasons.
Mhm.
And then the last sentence needs to be just adjusted a tiny bit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, this policy is just saying we only do out of school suspensions and you're banned.
And
Do
the
not
dis-
show up here.
And the district may require a student to attend school during non-school hours as an alternative to suspension. Do you want to just take that out?
Hmm.
Oh,
So Friday school.
Friday school, yeah.
oh,
Is a,
oh. 'cause
I've never done that, but, it's not a terrible idea.
Mhm.
I'd leave it, yeah, actually.
You want a hyphen between non-school,
Yeah,
but
because the red squiggles are.
it's not like you
Between
can.
non-school hours as an alternative.
Still
not- still doesn't
Friday
like it.
school.
Hmm.
So you
Just
wanna
doesn't
put like e.g. Friday school or something?
But maybe it's not non-school hours, maybe it's the district may require a student to attend Friday school as an alternative to suspension.
Yeah, except for that this policy, we may not always have
Friday
Friday
schools.
Yeah,
Non-school hours. Yeah, yeah, so then it's non-school, okay, yeah, good point. There's this,
Although,
comparing, go ahead.
would that be also like assuming transportation is provided
Yeah,
by the school?
yeah.
I don't know if we need to say that, but like, you couldn't be like,
No, and you have the length of the suspension, a plan for readmission. I mean, that's assuming out of school.
yeah,
yeah,
right. 'Cause I mean, if it's a 10-day, well, 10 days, but if it is a 10 days suspension, out of school suspension, that's a much bigger plan than like a 2-day in-school suspension. Those are such extreme differences.
Well, and I would think that you have that one on there because if it extends beyond, if it's an out-of-school 10-day suspension, then you have a 10-day drop.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And you have to readmit, yeah. So,
so I'm comparing this one to
And Joe's,
more updated district, yeah, and
so they're very similar.
they are, it's the order of things is, it's so funny, like, it's like reversed. They have a specific part in here, which I didn't see in ours, and I don't know if it matters, but they add a piece, the use of out-of-school suspension for discipline of a student in the 5th grade or below is limited to, and kind of limited more than this.
I saw the 5th grade thing, that was in another policy.
yeah,
There was something about that.
that was for.
And then there is one sentence in here, this is what caught my eye, that I would like to include,
That was for
but
student
now I
discipline.
can't find it.
When an out-of-school suspension is imposed on a student 5th grade or lower, the district shall take steps to prevent the reoccurrence of the behavior that led to the out-of-school suspension and return the student to the
that's in
classroom.
JG.
So that sentence is there, that's in this, after that's
I mean,
kind of
when
here's
we're
why.
that we're talking about elementary kids, I'm talking about suspension.
Oh,
at
yes.
school. I mean, I know
Right, I know.
times have changed.
Oh, and the use of out-of-school suspension or expulsion for discipline of a student in 5th grade or below is limited to non-accidental conduct.
Okay, that is in
Causing
there, that's what I'm
serious
reading
physical
here.
harm.
Okay, that's
When a
what
school
I'm.
administrator determines based on the administrator's observation upon a report from an employee, the student's conduct poses a threat to the health or safety of students and employees, or when the suspension or expulsion is required by law. So it is
It's
limited.
here, yeah, it's exactly the same, where I just didn't see it on
And
that.
so, yeah. it's
So we have it in the J.
JG, we have,
So under
I'm wondering,
will students and
do we even need this one, right?
if it's in JG,
Yeah.
do we need,
is all this stuff about suspension?
is the stuff you read just now in JG?
Yeah,
Oh, that's the
Oh.
same exact
Yeah,
language, so
yeah.
then this is specific to suspension.
I'm not sure that we need it if we already
This
cover
one,
and student discipline covers
Yeah,
suspension.
is discipline.
Right, but it covers
but-
suspension.
It doesn't cover suspension for the rest of the everything else. It just talks about suspension for 5th grade. So
Oh.
actually we should.
no, if you go up to the paragraph above, it has suspension.
Oh. A
student whose conduct or
conditions
condition-
seriously judged may be suspended.
Yeah.
Students, but it doesn't talk about length of time and all of that. So I almost think we should move that use of out-of-school suspension
Into JG? Or not, sorry. finish your
either,
sentence.
yeah, maybe we combine. Like, do we need a separate suspension policy, I guess is my,
I wouldn't think so, because I think
do we need
student discipline,
JGD? Yeah,
student discipline
I
should
mean,
cover.
it says that the district will consider stuff about the student prior to imposing careful consideration of the rights and needs of the individual concerned. And so,
The sentence I care most about in this is the district shall consider the age of the student and the student's past pattern of behavior prior to imposing the suspension. And we work hard to like do increasing, right, increasing degree of discipline based on a pattern of
yeah.
increased infraction that you're not learning.
So maybe we just grab that sentence and throw it in JG
And then get rid of,
and get rid of JGD.
I'd be good with that, yeah.
Okay.
wait, okay,
I think it's in here.
in JGD,
Yeah, is there a sentence here about the pattern of student?
no, that's in
No, that's in
JG.
JG.
The district shall consider the age of the student, the student's
Okay,
past
and it's
pattern
already
of
in
behavior.
JG?
The thing I
Prior
like
to
in
imposing.
JGD
Okay.
is the length of time. Like, there's some stipulations about the suspension.
That it can't be beyond.
Yeah, like
10 days.
it's gonna have the reasons, and it shouldn't extend beyond 10 days, and there's just emergency, this part is what I like about JGD.
Starting with,
I guess just that paragraph, each suspension will include a statement of the reasons for suspension, the length of the suspension,
Right.
a plan for readmission. And then the district may require a student to attend after school during non-school hours, like I like all of that. And also the part about kind of stipulating students are suspended may not attend after school activities, like we need to figure that part out too. Or take it out, actually, maybe,
Well, and that, because
because that could be
it's
to
in the Salties guide that that's the
Yeah.
expectation, like,
and it sounds like there's a little case-by-case stuff happening.
yeah, but depending on where it starts and stops, like, yeah.
So maybe just pull the each suspension paragraph and put that in the JG. Like after the paragraph that starts with a student whose conduct, so it's like the last paragraph of page 1-2 and right before the 5th grade stipulation.
Yeah. And yeah, and then get rid of this D, is that the, yeah.
Yeah, so put it right after this paragraph.
Put it right here.
Yeah, and then we have the little 5th grade part right below it, just like the, except when they're in 5th grade, these things apply. 5th grade or below.
So, you want each suspension will include a statement of the reasons for suspension, length of suspension, plan for, do we need a plan? Well, yeah, I mean, even if it's in school suspension, then you still have a plan for readmission to normal.
Yeah.
So none of this is in the student discipline?
Isn't
No.
in the student discipline, right? Yeah.
What about suspensions may be appealed to the board?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
We should put that in there too.
I mean, expulsions.
Yeah, expulsions
board.
are appeared to the board, but I don't know that we have, like, why would we definitely have not had suspensions.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Appealed to the board.
Why would someone appeal their suspension?
I mean, it'd
be a public complaint process.
It'd be a complaint
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
Not
You
if
can
it goes-
complain,
Yes.
but you're not appealing the actual suspension.
Yeah.
Right.
You're complaining that
It's
you're
not,
being treated
right,
unfairly.
yeah, unfairly.
Yeah.
Or if like is there anything that says like if a number of suspensions could result in expulsion, like this next suspension could be a result, they would want to bring it to the board? I don't think we have anything like that, do we?
No,
Okay.
and like you,
I mean, expulsions are very
They're-
defined.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could get suspended a lot and still not be allowed to, right? You're gonna have other issues with like, passing classes and stuff, but,
Okay, so no suspension shall extend beyond 10 days. Every reasonable and prompt effort must be made to notify the parents of suspended students. District may require a student to attend school during non-school hours as an alternative to suspension, which, do we want to have that in there if we're, or dropping that sentence?
Can we even do that?
so, sorry, which
Can
sentence?
we require students to attend school during non-school hours as an alternative to suspension?
Yeah, I don't know if require is the right
I don't
word.
think we probably, there's
Yeah, I
probably a
think we
rule
take
against
that
that.
out. Yeah, I think we take it out.
Okay, so we're going to that point.
We can consider that, like when I'm
Yes,
working with a
we could offer
family, I
that,
can,
yeah.
that's one option, but
Yeah.
if they can't do it, I can't require it.
Yeah.
I don't know, when I was in high school, Saturdays, school,
Yeah,
was-
I had Saturdays.
That
Well, I
was-
didn't get
that was-
it,
I worked
but
it as
that
a-
was
But it
it.
was a thing.
Jared, I thought we were gonna get a story there.
Oh.
At middle school, you had to go do
Maybe it was-
clean up work on Saturday
I
mornings.
don't know.
I ran Saturday school at,
Oh, I thought you were going
Big
to say
high
you
school.
went to Saturdays.
no, I probably did, but as an adult, I ran it and
As an exception.
giant cafeteria full of kids on Saturday morning who all loved to be there.
Okay, and then did you want this, students who are suspended may not attend after-school activities now? Well, we don't want to be present on district property.
Well,
So,
That's the
this
one,
is in Salty's the guide that we
Well,
don't even need in.
I do think
Like
it's
those
important to say you can't be on district property if you're out of school suspended.
Yeah.
Because that is
Sure.
trespassing.
Alright.
Right, if
Yeah.
you're in trouble and then you show up and do that,
Yeah.
I guarantee I'm
No, I
trespassing.
agree, and you may be suspended for a reason that makes.
so
Yeah.
maybe have this, but don't say suspended, but say who are suspended out of school,
Yeah,
Yeah.
who have out-of-school suspension.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's important to say
Yeah.
somewhere that, because that starts to become a safety, like potentially a safety and like, I know, it may not qualify for expulsion, but you're starting to get to some things where it's like, something's going on here.
Yeah.
May not attend after-school activities and athletic events. Be present on district property without a parent or participate in activities directed or sponsored by the district.
Yeah.
Okay. So we good with that then?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Mary, you good with that?
I am now.
Okay.
Thank you for
So
indulging me.
delete JGD then
Yes.
and modify JG to this. And now alternative education, things related to expulsion.
That should be.
Getting rid of that. JGEA. This was from 14.
And shouldn't, I just feel like this also is like, anyway.
I think this one has a lot of legal references.
Yeah.
Or is that what you're saying? I thought you were gonna say delete.
No.
Okay, sorry, I thought you.
No, I just think, I don't know, it's funny to look at these, yeah. In my mind, student discipline would be like the overarching one, and you have each of these like expulsion and you know, like suspension,
Yeah.
expulsion, like all of that stuff under student discipline. But it's fine, it's not in, I agree, this one has a bunch of legal stuff, so
Yeah.
it's gonna end up being
And I think this language is
organized
Mhm.
the
It
same.
would be a really long policy,
It would,
really long.
yes, it would.
And maybe the reason that they have them delineated is so that we can access them.
Hold
quicker.
something quickly.
This one is, there's some cost things. Anyway, this language is exactly this. Every time I go to say that, then I find something that's not. The sentence, if a parent towards the bottom receives an exemption on a semi-annual basis. Hold on real quick. If they that sentence is not included in the other,
Which one?
at
proposal?
the, no, at the
Oh.
bottom, if a just below you, yeah. So that was taken out of this district. Let me, if a parent receives an exemption. I don't even know what that means.
What is an exemption on a semi-annual basis?
It means every 6 months they're getting an exemption
I
to
know
not
what is the
go to
exemption?
school. I think to,
Right, so to withdraw their kid, right, but what's an example of an exemption that you have to file for semi-annually?
I have no clue.
Um,
Age. What are the ages listed over there?
16 and 17.
Oh, hold on. Okay, so if a district shall pay never mind, they just reversed the sentence to make it make more sense, I think is what's going on. This one reads, the district has no obligation to pay for an alternative education program if an emancipated minor or a parent or guardian receives an exemption on a semi-annual basis to withdraw a student age 16 or 17 from compulsory attendance. That's literally the same sentence, right?
Yeah.
So we probably should just leave it there, since we don't
Yeah.
know what would be
And
taken out.
at some point where we may need it.
Yep.
I wonder if, so in the compulsory attendance policy we just did, I wonder if there's something that talked about an exemption at a certain age, like to work or something, that they filed,
Right.
or they're homeschooling-ish because they're 16 or 17. I bet that's what this is a callback to compulsory attendance
Probably, yeah.
on there, so, yeah, we'll leave it. So we're done.
And it calls out
Yeah,
It's not-
but not the,
yeah, back to that, yeah, so I don't know. But,
no clue.
Okay.
and this is following expulsion, and so,
Yeah.
no idea, so we'll just leave it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the last one.
Yay.
Okay, so the only one you're gonna, like, come back with was the exchange student one, right? Or, right, was that
I
the one?
think we no,
No, the
We-
attendance one,
Oh, the attendance
Yeah.
one, sorry.
JE.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna bring back.
we're using the Umatilla one exactly for the.
Gotcha, for the exchange
Exchange
student
student, yeah.
one. And then you're gonna bring back the movie one.
We'll put it on the first reads for,
Next.
yeah, it'll be J's and K's on next month. It'll be the rest of them plus movies.
Okay. Yay, we did it. Right. Moving on, like, no one here now. Expiration of charter status for Mapleton.
I give a quick update, shared in a staff meeting with all classified and
Yes.
certified, not all, instructional staff was there, maintenance staff was not, so I wanna acknowledge, like, wasn't everybody. Then following that, sent out the slide decks, some information and a, feedback form.
Right, I saw that.
And so that's where we're at currently, still working on engaging students and sending out to families in there. A couple great questions slash things that have come up, just to, I think just to share it to you guys. I don't think, you can talk as long as you want, but one question was around interdistrict transfers versus charter school students. With an interdistrict transfer, we say, yes, we'll accept you, but we can deny it for attendance and behavior, and that can play out. If you're a charter school and you say yes to a student, they are now yours. You don't get to deny their enrollment. So important to, like, an important difference there. Mizu, I know what you're looking for. I am not being helpful here.
I don't see any.
Anybody see tissues? I'm not really good here, but.
I will be right back. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that was the main thing there. And then transportation, we have learned through this process that we got clarification from, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, we can run buses into other districts without being a charter.
What?
So, didn't you send me the ODE?
Yes.
You liar, I hate when you do that. I was like, I read it
What
twice.
That is news,
So,
that's news.
it was news to other
Yeah.
superintendent friends of mine that I was like, did
Oh.
you know this? And it was like, oh, and then some were like, yeah, it happens to me, and some were like, I didn't know that's a thing. So It does not require charter status to run a bus
Wow.
somewhere else.
It was just like manners, good manners, that you're not ripping off somebody's
I
kids.
think that's,
Yeah.
and your local, you know, you wanna have agreements with
Yeah.
your local districts,
Yeah.
and so, and I think, like, I was thinking through, like, why wouldn't you just do that instead of being a charter? But there's a cap that's set, so like you say yes to interdistrict transfers until some cap, and at that cap, then that district can say no. So if you run a bus over there to get your interdistrict transfers, but they're saying no to them, you might not fill the bus, and then it becomes not worth it. So the learning of that is the math. Now it's like, okay, what's the math of that? How many students would your local district, and you have multiple local districts, but like, when does it make sense to say, we're just gonna do that and get our kids here? And when does it, like, oh, at some point they're gonna stop saying, yes, they can be your kids, and then it's not cost effective to do that. So that was kind of the learning and where the next piece of thinking to explore there is, so.
What's the cap based on?
I wanna say it's 10% of your enrollment, if I
Oh.
remember right, which means
Of whose
of
enrollment?
the home districts, and so
Right.
10%, if we get 15 kids that wanna leave our district, then after 15 kids, we can say no. But Siuslaw has, we could take
We can get
100 kids
Of
from
theirs.
Siuslaw.
Really?
They're the home district.
that's
So
what
is
I
it-
was
isn't this
If I
the-
remember right, it seems like that's how it works, is 10% of your district. People can take 10% of yours before you can say no.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll look that up and make sure that's accurate, but if that's, I mean,
the impetus to go charter is to,
was this, yeah.
right. Are there other reasons to go charter
So
that you like?
the one, there's kind of three I've been talking about. That's the, right, boundaries and enrollment being the, like, what started this conversation. Oh, so another question, so then when I learned that, I was like, wait, with homeschool, so like some charters, like Triangle Lake, for example, signs up their homeschool families, directly does essentially, I'm simplifying that, but a pass-through of money to the family for education. They keep some of, a significant portion of the ADM for that child. So now I have a question, like, do you have to be a charter to do that? Or is there?
They also provide services too for that.
Yeah, for that money, I mean, with that money, they're opening their enrollment to serving there, but do you have to be a charter to serve your homeschool students?
Yeah.
Or can you do that anyway? So that's a question that would, like, I just started questioning everything connected to, like,
Yeah.
are these assumed rules or are these real rules?
Yeah.
And then the one that I think is actually the very, the main difference that I don't have proof otherwise, the staffing piece about charter registry and not needing full certification, I think is actually the difference between charter and public. And I do think there are some benefits to exploring that, like the staffing allowabilities with a charter, connected to our project-based learning and specials rotations, and being able to find people with expertise in a certain field to come serve as a teacher during that course, right? This wouldn't be a full-time teacher, this would be a, like,
Can't we do that
contract.
anyway?
Not as a teacher of record.
Right, but they're,
If you're talking PBL stuff, then typically that's CTE related stuff and
There is
based on
a,
experience.
Right.
but you have to go through a full CTE certification process, which
Yeah.
it's quite a few hoops to jump through still.
I mean,
So compared
okay,
to,
so we're gonna play devil's advocate.
yeah,
Just because you have knowledge about a subject doesn't mean you're a good teacher.
I don't
Look at
disagree.
all the
But
college
some,
teachers.
in a,
They all suck.
in a city setting, I think I would agree with you. I agree with you either way.
Yeah,
In a city setting, you have more teacher expertise to pull from that
Gotcha.
might have some of those skills too. Out here, right, we have some people who are phenomenal at certain things, who want to get involved perhaps with schools and help with and have experience with leading programming for kids, but they don't have a certification. And so kind of, I think looking at, so PBL and specials is where I keep thinking about the like flexibility of that. The other pieces, we have some folks who move to working in education settings and get a ton of experience and are amazing at what they do, who don't have education beyond a high school diploma. And we're leaning on that for first grade right now, or first and second grade, right? And they're phenomenal. And there's this moment where it's like, you sure you don't want to be a teacher?
right.
But the path right now is not just certification. They don't have a bachelor's, so it's like, what's the pathway to educate? It's such a long route that a charter registry would actually open up possibilities there. So that's truly where, in these conversations, I think that's where the benefit actually lies. If these other things can actually, and maybe you don't want to piss off your neighbor districts. Sorry if anybody's listening, but that's something you have to weigh and balance. But I don't think you go full charter status just to not piss off your neighbor, to do the same thing you're gonna do. Just tell them, hey, I can do it now, or I can switch my status and do it then and feel a little better about it. I don't know that changes. You're still doing it, so.
When you were, when you did have your meeting and,
What's that?
yeah, like what was the
Yeah,
vibe check?
curiosity.
Yeah.
Following up, I've had a couple people reach out to me for clarification on things, and I think there's kind of this like, the group who had, and I put myself in that camp, the kind of anti-charter sentiments from previous experiences and stuff. I feel like there's one feedback here that says, this information helped quell those worries. I had somebody else come to me and say like, but can't all these things happen and isn't this? And it's like, no, slow down. Like, that's protected in this way. We still follow all the rules of ODE, and it's just kind of reinforcing. And that person wasn't at the meeting, they had heard from there. So, and then there's, so far there's 8 responses. I have them open. I think I either need to clean my glasses or I'm going blind. So there's on a scale of 1 being no way to 5 heck yes, I support further exploration of this. So not I want to be a charter, but we should keep exploring it. 1 person was a 2, 2 people were a 3 neutral, 4 people are 4s, and 1 person's a 5. So I would say neutral to, there's really only 1 person below neutral in this feedback, right? Lots of people didn't say anything. I would say the most follow-up I've had is texts like with clarification questions. And then the only other question on here was an open feedback. So in this, like I want to read this one to you guys, like, and I think this, the thing about interdistrict transfers versus charter, this has come up in a couple different ways talking to people, but we're small and sometimes I think get viewed as if the local big, or if the nearest big school didn't work for you, try the small environment. So in some ways by default you become the big school's alternative school without being named, right? And we've experienced elements of that. And so if we get a lot of signups sorry, let me read that again. If we get a lot of signups out of district from parents that think their kids can't deal with bigger schools and send them to Mapleton, it increases our additional needs of support. Do we get overrun by the needs of students that are supposed to be able to be self-sufficient but need increased supports? Money comes with kids when they enroll, so like this goes on to say, but then we won't have anybody, and it's just like the staffing needs to increase at the same time. But if you still have really concentrated need, which we have here, right, then are you just increasing your concentrated need and becoming a alternative charter school kind of thing? So I think it's an important consideration, and people were really sweet about, but I think just naming it explicitly matters. Like I can share these comments directly, but I'm just seeing if there's anything I haven't kind of spoken to. More. Yeah, I'm just kind of saying, my familiarity with charter schools is limited, but it seems like most charters are successful when they are attached to a mission, project-based learning, STEM, arts, community-based exploration, etc. What will help Mapleton's charter stand out? Would identifying a mission or attachment to a type of program open more doors for additional funding sources? How will the charter align with ODE outcomes? So it kind of went from there, but I think that initial piece of like, are we just saying we're a charter so that we can do shift these rules? Or for the staffing purposes, is it actually we're, community connected project-based learning is our core, and we're a charter, come be part of that with us and this adults and students, right? We're looking for people with that expertise to come help us. So, and obviously if I had to answer that question today, that would be my answer, but you process that through that part, so, or through that, you'd come up with that through the process of becoming the charter, so.
All right.
Anyway.
I thought that schools identified themselves first as this is what we're gonna be, and then the process follows that.
Well, I mean the process of writing the charter.
Yeah.
So like somebody told me, I don't remember which district it was, but they think one charter school out there, like their actual charter that they wrote literally says, now we're a charter, period, and they submitted it.
Yeah.
It's like, or maybe there were two sentences, but I can't remember which district I'll try to remember because I wanted to look and see if that was real. And then if you go through writing a full charter and we're a X-based school that does these things, it's a chance to kind of articulate that into the charter and share that language out, so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading the one that was proposed in Florence.
Yeah, and it gets long, yeah, so, but with a single district charter, you don't have to go as robust, like you can still do that messaging outside the charter, it doesn't have to be drafted in there, but through the process, I think it's important. So anyway, that's what I have to add so far. I don't know.
Are you gonna ask, because those are really great responses, and so it'd just be nice to get a larger swath.
And some of it is, right, they had other ways to share, ask questions,
right.
do this, so it wasn't necessarily like.
That's right, you've gotten more.
Yeah, I said, hey, anything here, I'll be sharing to the board, but a lot of it was clarification questions. I've probably had 8 more conversations that are people not, well, I don't know everybody, some people put their names and I don't know everybody on here, but yeah, there's some level of conversation has certainly been taking place on campus. And I close with saying, I guess if you're a heck no, pump the brakes, yell loud. Like, come tell, like, this is an open invitation to come say that because we need to do that. Otherwise, we're gonna engage other stakeholders to hear this and see if this is something we should continue to pursue. And that was kind of the messaging that I closed with on that.
For the, like the community engagement piece of it, have we thought about like inviting people to come to something in person? I think just pushing out something digitally might not be.
Yeah, at some point we talked about doing a mailer to the whole community,
Mhm.
and I thought there we kind of landed on doing a little bit of informative processing with staff first, but then students and families.
Okay.
Some informational and conversations to kind of start that conversation. And then if nobody says, hey, pump the brakes, then to do a mailer for a come talk more about it, like the listening session type piece of it.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, and I think it's still a weird process to figure out, like, we get these new questions and new information. How do you know when we're still moving forward and when we're not?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where
Right.
like, that's kind of where I thought there were great points made, and so I was in the spot of like, do I send this to families or do we explore the meaning of that information first before sharing even more out, so.
Yeah, and also to get people to come to a listening session is not easy.
Right.
We don't have a newspaper. I mean, well, we have to get the word out. We really have to get the word out, and that's not, even a snail mail letter gets tossed. But a lot of people don't, it's like, oh, that's not personal, or it's just the school, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, we'll do our best, but it's really hard to get people to show up.
Yes.
But we can't move ahead without all the stakeholders. And I think you're right to flesh out the internal.
I do too. I think you are.
Yeah, and I guess my takeaway from this conversation, at least, is like, I feel like a month ago, or whenever we met last, I felt like, man, if this, it felt more like, I feel like I was neutral in it, but it felt more like that's where we were more likely to head that direction. Maybe that's how I'll say that. And then some of this information where it's like the thing that actually got us talking about it in the first place, we might be able to do anyway, was like, wait, should we do this? Are we doing this? What's the purpose of this? What fundamentally is still driving it if it's not that? And for me, like, there is this piece of the staffing, but I don't think I don't feel in a rush to do that by fall.
Right.
And we don't have, right? Whereas when it felt more like, let's look at this as enrollment purposes and these kind of things, it was like, well, heck, if we're headed there, I want to process this quick because I don't want it to be a surprise in June, kind of thing. So maybe I mean, you guys are saying, so maybe you're feeling the same thing, but I feel like the timeline slowed down based on the information that came out of this.
For sure, I really feel that because to do this right, whichever way we go, we can't rush it. And we have to do like a cost-benefit analysis. Like what do we gain? What are we giving up? We really have to be so intentional with our analysis.
On this community, they want to know that we consulted them,
For sure.
On all things too, and,
get a chance to really ask the questions and really talk about it. Yeah, because I mean, if we can run buses it's in the fall, I mean, like, you're right, like for this year, those initial things we can kind of address and then we can take a little bit more time to talk about the charter.
Yeah, because there are concerns, like if we're trying to move too fast, like there are concerns about how the, like, effects on our, districts in different ways that we haven't even considered yet. So if we're like, we're gonna start in the fall, then there's like things that we have to get figured out now.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
So,
I'm not feeling a rush towards fall from you guys. Okay.
no, I mean, I agree with Michelle, like, I agree, like, we should go through the process and do it well, and then we arrive where we arrive, in terms of timing or whatever.
We don't even know where that is.
No, we don't know where that
Right.
is, like, it may be that we arrive at like, nah, we're good.
I mean, I will say that I have been so anti-charter schools just philosophically my whole life since they've been a thing. And I'm not as anti. I mean, just the information and, I'm open. I'm open to, if it's the best thing for the district, then we'll go that direction. But we just don't know it. We just don't know.
Yeah. But it's cool, I mean, we're getting, by putting this out there, we're getting questions that help us.
Yep.
We're learning too.
Yeah,
sure.
So that's
And
good.
for the staffing component, I'm in Alaska next week for a rural schools, rural communities conference, something like that.
In Alaska?
Yeah, in Anchorage, through Gear Up and
Oh.
going with, so they supported superintendents to go and bring workforce partners and, well, that's stretched, but Shereen Vogel, who's the CTE consortia lead for the county, is coming, and then Stephanie Sarles, who's the exec on Sykesville Vision, is coming, and then they have money for programming ideas like in that region, so it's a cool experience. But I was looking through the agenda, and there's quite a few like grow your own for rural communities that I want to take this same idea back and say, okay, well, obviously charter is one avenue to say use the charter registry, but when you have a stellar educator with tons of experience but not college credits, what is the path? And just keep picking everybody's brain and see, is there because right now, if that's the thing, that's kind of the most compelling. Are there other avenues beyond charter? So
Yeah,
that's kind
exactly.
of what I'll be asking. One of the many things I'll be asking, but that's a major priority next week to be asking.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So
Okay. Oh,
Just one more thing.
Yeah,
So when
please.
we're talking to people about this and putting it out there, we should stress that we're not committing to any specific timeline, so that it gives people the opportunity to be like, okay, like I don't have to freak out about this and getting this done now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, then just know that we're going through a process and we don't actually even know what the end timeline is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Okay.
great point.
I think this conversation's helping me think about how to frame the message out to families to say, hey, there is conversation about this. We want to tell you what we've learned so far. We want to tell you who we've talked to so far, and I think naming, and here's the questions that have come up and the learnings that
Yeah.
we've learned.
Yes.
And just this conversation.
Yeah.
We want to give you that and say, what questions do you have, and what are like, what are we not considering
Yes.
that
Exactly.
we should learn from you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's how I'll frame
Yeah.
that message. I'll send it. Can I do that for board rules? Can I send it to all 5 of you and you just give me individual? Yeah, that's
We
fine.
can give you individual
No.
feedback.
So give me individual feedback of, or here's a way to change it, and then I'll get that sent out. That just life for the next 2 weeks. It'll probably be 2 weeks before I send that to
Yeah.
you, just to let you know. So,
No rush.
Yeah.
okay, that feels good. Okay, it might be 3. So, but before next board meeting, I'd like to get that out so that there's something moving. So,
Awesome.
cool.
It might be helpful in that communique, why we're thinking about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That, the
Yeah.
rationale, because
Yeah.
why would we
Why would
change?
we? Yeah.
We love our school.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
But like, we're starting to have to contend with
Yeah.
realities that we didn't foresee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I talk to staff about is like, enrollment, people aren't having babies, they're not putting their babies in school in early years, like, when you look at K2 numbers, you have to think about things, because if that pattern stays, that's scary. In a long-term picture for a school, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then it's not only happening in Mapleton, like, that's what I wanna make sure people know, like, and we talked a lot about that in the conversation.
Yeah, especially in a community where we're like big on legacy and tradition, like this has been this way forever, definitely wanna.
We wanna keep it that way.
Yeah. This is to protect
Yeah.
legacy, Okay. Anything else about facilities planning and concerns? I know you talked about the other building.
Yeah, I think we're good there. Does anybody have questions on facilities? Good. Okay, so state testing, I wanna share this update, and, part of it is I just wanna read it to you guys. I'll do a shortened version, but, I think last month they said, hey, they're communicating with us. I had submitted a plan to them and I hadn't heard back yet. Since then I have heard back. And they said, in order to approve this request, the district will need to revise the plan to address the following issues. So instead of reading all the, they tell me ORS codes and all this and the why, but I'm not gonna read all that out loud. But families who are opting their students out of the testing, statewide summative tests, must complete and submit the form provided by ODE. And I talked about being able to do both of those. Only parents, guardians, adult students can complete the opt-out form. Nobody can do it on their behalf. Sure. But one of the ideas for that, and I did, well, let me follow up. And it says resubmit this plan by May 30th at the latest, so we have some time to think through it, and I've been trying to think of ideas and want to talk with folks and that kind of thing, but I wrote a clarification and said, is this for this year's testing cycle or next year's? And this would be to be in compliance for Division 22 in the later, so this would be, so basically you have to say you're in compliance by the beginning of the 25-26 school year, which means it would be 26 testing. So we don't have to change this overnight. That was my how fast am I changing this? And so they wrote back and clarified that. So we have some time to get this right, but I need to be able to say, here's what we're gonna do next year by May 30th.
Okay.
So one of the things we talked about is at conferences, we have a very high turnout, close to 100% now for, maybe I'll go 80% over here, but for student-led conferences and conferences over the hill, and so building that paperwork into that conversation, I think, is one way to do that, where it's in person. There is a little bit of care, but if it's a script with it, there's a carefulness where teachers on the job aren't supposed to be giving much too much sway. I don't want it interpreted as sway, but I think the materials we have that say, here's this, make your decision, then they're there in person and can pick the opt-in or opt-out.
What about registration?
Register
all in person?
I think it's too early. So it's, let me look at it. Yeah, I think there's with the 30-day notice there, there's some notice that goes out, and then there's these pieces. It starts kind of the second half of the school year. So I think even fall conferences might be too early, but I think spring conferences make a lot of sense. And maybe even first Forza and that or something like
Fall
that.
conferences wouldn't be a bad time to mention,
Yeah.
hey, there is this thing,
Yeah.
and, we'll talk to you more about it later.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, and it also kind of continues with this, we try to be really transparent, and we kind of involve students, families, and teachers along the whole way, and I like that it's just kind of part of the.
Like we're in conversation about
Yeah.
it. Well, and then our goals
I like
with,
that, actually.
integrated plan, I just worried that we didn't approve that. Sorry, we did that. I was like, oh my God, hold on. But this shift to the language of parent engagement, like really emphasizing, like, I think that's in line with that goal, so,
I
okay.
mean, it's what we decided in plain sight.
Yeah,
We don't want to do this, and as a community with input and students and staff with input, people were like, yeah, we're over that.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like we're.
Yeah, and then each family has the information to say,
That's right.
yeah, the district said they're over it, I'm not,
Right.
opt in,
Right.
or,
Opt-in.
yeah, I'm over it too, opt out.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
they get to, we're not doing it on their behalf, which is what
Right.
they're
okay.
trying to do. Okay, so additionally, school districts must follow all additional testing conditions specified, states the following, okay. I don't know what to do with this one. It is not permissible to schedule whole class testing sessions concurrently with periods of significant instruction and graded student work. Whether intentional or unintentional, this requires students to choose between their class performance and participation in state testing. Sufficient instruction and class-free time should be set aside each year to provide every student with a reasonable opportunity to complete the testing. So,
Right.
part of me wants to be like, okay, then we'll garden.
Yeah.
But so many of our, for example,
Yeah,
right? But
Yeah.
I actually think more of our kids would want to garden
Yeah,
and
yeah,
skip
yeah.
testing than go to class and skip testing.
Yeah.
And that's not to discount class. So I don't know what we do during the testing period. If you're still at a rate that you're the majority, like, are we gonna sit and stare at each other while some families test?
Right.
It's a difficult spot. I don't know what to do here.
I think you plan I think an enrichment activity that isn't, that isn't like, cause I think the classwork idea, like they miss classwork, is they're building on something, so they might miss like a
Yeah.
unit in math.
Yeah,
but
which we
then
would,
they-
yeah.
I know.
And we
but,
already don't do, so I don't know where, but I think
Yeah.
this is the piece, like, my worry on this one is no matter what
I know.
we do there is gonna be seen as going against, as leading away from T, I don't know. But an extension activity that is well, and it could be that students are, if we go back to the conferences idea, that students are preparing something for their conference with their family, right? We do that anyway at
Yeah.
different times, but they're explicitly working on something towards,
But then,
Demonstrate.
then the kids who test don't get to, anyway.
yeah. I
Over
mean,
here,
we're talking about building that here everywhere, though.
what about crew?
It's only 30 minutes, so like the testing
Yeah.
windows are long enough that I can't,
Gotcha.
that's the problem, is they're gonna miss a class. I don't know, I'll think through this one.
Yeah.
It's probably the wording on it, but it's like, okay, well, we'll just tell them to stay home. I don't know,
Right.
like,
For real, and
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what the numbers are too. I mean,
Yeah.
What really are the numbers? We are at a very low participation
currently,
rate.
yes. So that, like, that's where I'm like,
Yeah,
the reality is, what, like, so I'm just gonna bore everybody all day. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this one, but it caught me.
Yeah,
off
I
guard.
mean, yeah.
And then the last part is, requires, yeah, well, okay, so this opt-in, this is where they're pushing on. Okay, so, whatever rule, requires testing of all students annually. The statutory requirement applies to all students and does not grant authority to local or state education agencies to create additional criteria for participation, such as a form. Requiring a form to participate could present a barrier to participation that may serve to exclude students or groups of students. It also disincentivizes testing, which violates the same protection. The district's policy on assessment accurately reflects state and federal law that it requires only the opt-out form, The board resolution does not because the resolution requires an additional opt-in form.
Gotcha. So we just need to not require a form to opt in. You either have to sign the opt-out form or you.
Which puts us right back to being an opt-out. doesn't
I
it?
know,
Like,
exactly.
so that's what, I mean,
That's
they're,
why, like,
that's what,
yeah.
that's what this is intended to do, I mean, which is, you know, they're good,
Yeah,
I get it. But
it's funny.
I feel like the conferences, conversations might actually go around, like, if you're sitting there, that form is no longer a barrier.
They're not gonna see it that way though.
Well, that's our job to convince them that that's how we see it. I
Yeah.
mean, they're not gonna see it the way we see it, because they're invested in this,
Yeah.
in this mania. They're going to justify why we are out of compliance and we better behave. And we've just said straight up, we're not playing that game. We are doing what's best for kids. You know, I don't know, you send that.
Yeah,
letter.
I'll forward this to everybody, I just,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it publicly and make sure you guys had, like, that we could kind of make sense of what each, because it gets wordy in here, but, yeah, so I'll forward this to y'all, we don't need to make any, and I'm happy to talk to folks individually and collect ideas and send it back. Part of me, well, it doesn't say an approved plan by May 30th.
It says
It just
you're
did
supposed to
send a
submit.
revised plan, so,
Do you
yeah,
talk to
I just wanted to
any-
make sure it's not like, wait, we
Yeah.
didn't do that and now you're in more trouble, so
Yeah.
really, we can be thoughtful about this.
Yeah. Do you talk to your
And
soups
so-
about this? I mean, I know they're not doing what we do, but is this a conversation amongst superintendents?
Not, how do I say that? There are conversations about testing and whether that data is, like, so the whole accountability thing, conversation's going through right now, and it just, they're gonna add some other things to accountability measures, but as that was being discussed, testing, or like, some state summative testing comes up, and there's some great conversations about people's stance on how we can make that data more useful, how we can embrace the test more, how we can embrace the test less, how, you know, what other measures show accountability, like, it's that level of conversation, not what do I do with that?
Yeah, well, you know,
So-
and really, that's not where it happens. It doesn't happen with the superintendents. It's supposed to happen with the boards, because you're I mean, you're following law.
And following my board, and I'm very honest with, I mean, this is from the Division 22 team, and I'm very honest with them of like, hey, we're trying to find I don't know, middle ground's the wrong word, but like a process that meets what this says the intent of the law
Yeah,
is,
right.
and these other pieces, and like, for me, the piece, I don't know, this idea that the district can't make decisions on behalf of a family, none of us disagreed with
Right.
that, and
Yeah,
it was
of
like,
course.
okay, so
Yeah.
can we call every family? Yeah.
Right.
But I thought there was a
I don't
provision
understand.
somewhere about local districts creating their own tests.
Yeah, so, but it's like in addition to
Yeah, right.
Oh,
this,
in
like
addition
there's,
to.
yeah, so there's,
Wow.
and that's some of the conversations that's the conversations we have at the superintendent level of like, hey, we have other measures, how do we tell that story? You
Yeah,
know,
right.
but there's still this,
Yep.
this is the shared one kind of thing, and I don't know. But, I feel like even the first one for sure we can work with and keep working with, and that's where we've been doing that. The second one with what are they do, like if you have a community that says even 50%, even if 80% of your, well, no, maybe, okay, I'll go 50%. If 50% of your kids don't test, you can't not teach them that day, or not engage them that day. I guess that's the difference for me. This is saying don't teach them that
Yes,
day.
that's what I'm saying. You can still
We can
engage them.
engage them.
Yeah, but it's saying don't teach them because then
Yeah,
the
because the
students
other
who are
kids
doing the
are-
test will miss
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And it's, you're always
Yeah.
building on stuff. But if you can engage them in some other activity, I don't see, that's where I'm seeing that
Yeah.
be a possibility.
Yeah.
But the third one is where, that one is,
Yeah, that one feels like, don't do what you're.
that-
Like, you're working with us, but don't.
yes.
You really can't, and maybe there's a
And
way to
even
work there.
Even they will admit that if you don't have a certain percentage of your kids tested,
Yeah.
then the data is not very relevant.
Yeah.
In fact, it's useless.
Yeah.
So they say that.
Yeah, well, and I think in their defense, so they're trying to get
That's
more
right, they're trying
useful
to get
data
data, yeah.
and make sure everybody tests. Like, I get both sides of that,
Yeah.
for sure.
However, like, because we're so small, well, much of our data is not even used anyways, so.
That's so
That's-
true.
I don't have a third grade reading longitudinal performance goal in the accountability measure.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
But I
Right.
don't know why this is such a big battle. Like,
Yes.
that's for me,
Right.
where my stance is in it, like,
Yeah.
seems like a lot of work for
For something
something
that-
that you don't hold me accountable to. Why do I have to hold every kid accountable to
Mhm.
taking it? Like,
Exactly.
that's whether I agree with the testing or, and it doesn't matter in this size district.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's,
the thing.
it doesn't feel like,
Such a clear example of like where the intent and practice just.
Don't line up.
Yeah, precisely.
and this email doesn't say it, but I did share with you guys last time that, oh no, it is in this one. As a reminder, ODE is in the process of revising OAR something, to ensure enforceability of opt-out requirements outlined in the test manual. We are planning for the rule revision process to be complete by June of 2024, so this June.
Yeah.
And at that time, we'll begin steps towards enforcement if the district does not have an approved corrective action plan in place.
Right.
Stay tuned. Let's keep chatting and figuring out
Yeah.
where we go. So, and I guess maybe one way is to send one response, like the conference piece, maybe say, like, we're working on the full revision of the plan, but we think we can totally agree to this first one through conferences with families and send that over. Or wait and do it all together, I don't know, but we can talk about. 'Cause I think that's the part
at
that
some
we
point,
are.
it may be that is our strategy, is to toss them a bone, or, we'll do the first part.
Yeah.
And we're working on this. I mean, we have, in good faith, we're trying to
Yeah.
behave, but we're not willing to compromise our principles. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think engaging them in continued conversation is probably good. Our timeline is
Yeah.
pretty short.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
what
we have to submit something by May 30th, so like,
Yeah.
going back to them and saying, hey, this one, great, we have a plan for this.
Yeah.
We're having trouble with these ones.
Do you guys feel comfortable with
Like,
that first part for me saying, like,
With the
hey, with the conference
Yeah.
thing, that's
Yeah.
Sam, like,
Yeah.
okay, so I think I can at least
Yeah.
respond, hey,
Right.
we talked
Right.
about this in the board meeting,
Yeah.
this is the thing.
And
we're going
the
through.
second one seems like fine too, if we just,
Yeah,
consider,
agreed.
like, engagement, you can check with them as like an engagement activity such as blah, 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 okay.
Mhm.
And then
You know,
the third one.
it could even play into our, what's our Beyond Me, or what is it? What is
Community
it?
service.
Yeah, community service.
Yeah.
Is it, yeah,
I mean, it could be something that is aligned with that, and it's, it's a benefit. We see it as a benefit. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, we gotta get creative.
yeah.
Our charter schools beholden to the same state testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it totally does.
What'd you say, Mary?
Oh, it's just.
Our charter schools had to have to do the same state testing rules, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
That's a good question.
I'm
Michelle
all
was gonna
in.
be pro charter.
Let's go.
Pro charter, we're all
Michelle's waving the charter flag. Out front.
Who knew?
Oh, man.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
so those first two responses maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
I can get that.
And just like, let them.
I'll forward to you guys
Yeah.
this before that, but then I'll share any communication back. Okay.
Budget committee updates.
So you sent somebody,
Mariah was a yes.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah, did you check with her?
Oh,
I'll check with her again. She was a yes, I'm willing to do this.
oh, not a, I
But
misinterpreted.
Yeah, but not a, I
Somebody
checked
should-
with her.
Okay,
Yeah, but I
got
can
it.
check with her.
Does that work? Sorry,
That's
I
fine.
misinterpreted
No, that's
that.
fine. She was a, I'd be willing to
I
do
heard
this.
that and text Jared and put her on the list.
Right.
So, okay.
Nope, I just need to like, she said I'm willing, but at that point I didn't know if we had any
Availability.
opens.
Yeah, yeah, there is openings and
Yeah.
I
Do we need
think
more?
we know dates
Yeah.
now. We would
do.
need 2 more, right?
I know
if
that,
we want a full day.
Julie at the coffee shop, she's by her.
Oh, Doran.
Yeah, she had expressed interest,
Okay,
Cool.
so,
Great.
so I can
Yep.
tell her that there's an opening.
Cool.
Is Tim not around, or he
Yeah,
just
he's
got?
gonna be gone
Okay.
that time.
'Cause he's
Otherwise, he would,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
willing otherwise, but yeah.
okay.
Okay, so yeah, I can contact Julie.
Yeah, just give me anyone's email, so if someone says yes, then give me their email so I can send them the budget one.
Okay.
Okay. Does. Yeah, let me think about it. Sorry, let me be quiet on that. Well, I just, like, does it matter if people are siblings? Like, is there an overrepresentation? Like, I try not, or
Right.
the same family.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it technically would matter, but we'd probably
Try to
better
spread it
try
out.
to spread
Okay,
it
that's,
out. Yeah.
I had a great person in mind,
Right,
and they're related to somebody else.
Somebody else on the budget committee?
Yeah, potentially. So, yeah, I'm trying to,
Yeah,
the willingness, but the, like, also, how do we make sure there's full
Right.
representation?
I
So
mean,
we need 3, so then
If it was
Mariah.
Julie, Mariah, and then one more because Tim won't be there.
Gotcha, okay. Okay,
Sharon moved. Will's local. Does anybody see Will?
I mean, I drive by.
I could try to, he's just
Gotcha.
not, he hasn't responded. Let
I can text him.
me, you wanna try to do that?
Yeah.
Let's try that and see if
Yes,
Will can do
Yeah,
it, just
that
as
would
a-
be great.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Sharon, I think is long, but,
yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sure, a plan.
cool.
And each of us are contacting one person, yay, all right. Perfect.
Okay, public comment? Okay, doesn't look
I
like
was
there's.
waiting for my mom to walk in the door.
anybody.
That would have been
We've
fun.
been like, yeah, you're walking.
Yeah, that too.
Any other comments?
I don't know, ready to go home?
All right, well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, meeting adjourned at 9:05. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful evening.
Yep.